Good to see everybody who loves God in different ways killing each other. Good work, everybody.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, July 10th, 2014. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 633.
This is No Agenda.
Exercising deep decarbonization direct from FEMA Region 6 in the Travis Heights hideout in the capital of the Lone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I've got the Red Book back from downstairs where I've kept it, and I've got a lot of explaining to do. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Man, early. I don't think
We're
we've
on time.
No. We're early. We have not started before 11 o'clock Central Time.
Yeah.
In years.
Yeah, we made it by 2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes earlier than we, well, actually, where we normally start is about, 10 after the hour.
And this is because you fell out of bed? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I might as well get up.
So I was up early, too. I had house guests.
Oh.
Yeah, Miss Mickey is off. She's in Mexico visiting her godchild, which was her big birthday present to go to Mexico. Second prize was 2 weeks in Mexico. What?
When was it? Old joke.
Yeah.
When was her birthday?
It was on the 8th. So I have her in the birthday lineup.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah.
So for her birthday, she leaves you.
Yes. Well,
Goes to
exactly.
Mexico.
Exactly. Well, you know how the Dutch are with the birthdays, and always have to do the decorate everything, and so I didn't have to do that this year. I just had to get up at 4:30
Right, you're
and
supposed to decorate everything. And then the way I hear it described is you take chairs, like as many as you have in the house, and you push them up against the wall.
No, big circle.
In a big circle up against the wall.
Yeah.
And then everyone sits in the chairs and sits there silently for, I guess.
No.
Oh, I'm getting this.
Everyone comes in. Of course, you congratulate every member of the family. So it's you would say to me, Adam, congratulations with your wife's birthday.
Huh?
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's pleasant.
Yeah, it's very pleasant. You decorate you have a birthday chair, and that's decorated.
There's
you
a
got
birthday
balloons.
chair, and the person has to sit in it.
Yes, absolutely. And
then what do? They sit there and they have to put up with what?
Well, the same people the same people who's you were at someone's birthday last week, and they all come in. They sit in the big circle and they talk about, I don't know, what they take for bad breath.
It sounds like you might. Oh, I see why you're so amenable to the ham radio scene.
Easy now.
It sounds like the guys that are casually chatting on the ham.
Yeah, and but it's cute.
And the 14 reflector.
Yeah, 14 Charlie. Oh boy,
14 Charlie reflector. 14 Charlie.
Oh boy, someone's been listening. Anyway, so coming through town on their way to Houston, Dave Jones and his lovely wife stopped by, and they stayed overnight, kind of in between the boxes here. Dave Jones is developed the Freedom Controller. He's the sole developer on that project.
Right, he's our developer guy.
Yeah. Well, no, he's not a developer guy. He's the Freedom Controller guy.
Oh, he's the Freedom Controller guy.
Yeah, it's not just developer guy, but
he's developer guy.
The Freedom Controller makes everything run. It's what makes the show notes run. It's everything. It's fantastic. And so I took him out to dinner, and it was really nice. He's from Alabama. They're from Alabama.
Oh, pleasant state.
Sounds pretty cool.
Oh, you've never been to Alabama?
I don't think so.
Here's what your first impression of Alabama.
Swingers?
I'm not talking about the hicks that are in Alabama or all the fireworks they sell during 4th of July, where you can buy like essentially a quarter stick of dynamite on the roadside.
Yeah.
But besides that, you're driving down these 6-lane freeways. I swear I did this once. I'm going up to some 6-lane freeway from somewhere to somewhere, and there was nobody on either side of the road. I went into the fast lane, stopped dead, got out of my car, looked around. There was nothing. And
did a little dance.
And off I went.
Did a jig.
I could have. It's astonishing. They have, because of all the types of politicians they've had over the years, they have just got the federal government to give them all kinds of infrastructure that is just like
perfect,
outrageous. And then I look out the window here and you see the freeway stop dead.
So they brought me a Macallan 12 as a gift. as a house gift, which was very nice.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
And, they have 3 kids.
It took me a minute to think of what you're talking about. I was thinking a shotgun?
Macallan 12 gauge. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Well, I had a sip of it last night. You might as well be. And it was funny because they got 3 kids who they're homeschooling. So they
good
were
for them.
They were very, yeah. And they were very happy to be away, just the 2 of them. 3 kids homeschooling.
That's
a lot. But
kind of a burden.
They assured me they never put a leash on their kids.
Good for them. They don't go to airports a lot. I guess they drive around.
They drive. Yeah, exactly. All right, John. We need to figure out what's going on here.
Well, let's play I got the background clip.
Oh, hold on a second.
You might as well play that just for a little slight intro.
Oh, I'm a little behind. Hold on a second. I wasn't prepared for that. Hold on. Sorry. You're so early today. I'm just. Okay. Background clip. Does it say background clip?
No, it says Brazil.
Oh, okay.
Or something.
Here we go.
First, it was a battering for Brazil. The World Cup hosts have been apologising to fans after they crashed out of their own tournament in a 7-1 semi-final defeat to Germany, a match that broke all kinds of records. Miroslav Klose netted 5 goals in the first 29 minutes alone, making him the World Cup's all-time top scorer. By the time Oscar clawed one back in the 90th minute, Brazilian fans were already cheering for the Germans, and police were out in force around the stadium to prevent riots. Captain David Luiz has offered his apologies to all Brazilians, while Coach Scolari said it was the worst day of his life.
Now, before you say anything, because I know you want to launch into something here, I have a feeling if we had a show somewhere between Sunday and the game yesterday, we may have come up with some alternative theories. I'm not trying to backpedal or anything. But
what you're doing?
Well, because the news came out Monday in the Netherlands that the Dutch team had to leave their hotel. They were only booked through the semifinals because all the sponsors were coming in for the big final match. And I'm thinking, if those guys booked in and they knew they were getting kicked out by the semifinals, that's kind of telling.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of telling, and it would have maybe led us to some new analysis.
Maybe. And by the way, I think that the one thing we can still agree on is this stuff is rigged.
Well, I've gone through a number of iterations on what happened because I know people will probably bet on the game based on the fact that we're never wrong.
Oh yeah, I got some emails like, well, too bad your donation is all gone. I bet the money away. Like, thanks.
Well, that was one guy. I know he was betting on the game. He was going to give us a piece of the action. He's going to give us some VIG.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, the real insulting thing here, which kind of gets overlooked, is that German guy is now the leading scorer in World Cup history. And you know who he replaced as the top scorer in World Cup history was the very famous Ronaldo from Brazil. And I think that was not.
Wait. Isn't Ronaldo Portugal?
No. The Ronaldo.
Oh, the Ronaldo. Okay, yes.
Brazil.
Right. Okay.
Who led to Ronaldinho and some of these other guys who evolved from this character. Was really a great player.
And historically, Germany versus Brazil, Brazil has always beat them. Always beat Germany.
1-0, 2-1,
4-1, 2-1. Yeah.
7-1's a bit much.
Like we know what the hell we're talking about.
Besides the point. That's all beside the point. Here's what I first thought. I thought that this game was rigged in favor of Brazil because of the nature of the Brazilians, and they're going to wreck the place and all the rest of it. And so and what we didn't think about was the possibility that gangsters, and we're in Brazil, a corrupt country that's got a lot of irked gangsters who have been rousted from the favelas in the hills. Because the Brazilians have been doing that, they've been tearing down those shanty towns, which are on the sides of all the hills, and with all the best views of Rio and every place, and in Sao Paulo to a lesser extent. And so they went and they decided to rig the game, and and to intimidate the team. They said they broke one guy's back,
right? The Brazilian, the star player.
The star player, and then they also took the team captain, who apparently the Brazilians felt was even more important. Mm-hmm. He's out of the game, and so there's probably, you could have said, we're going to kill someone if you don't blow this game.
No, we'll kill your family.
the Brazilians say to themselves, yeah, the Brazilian players say, okay, we'll lose the game and we're going to, let's just don't play.
Which is what it looked like.
And so they just, the game was horrible. So they said, we'll just lose big. And they did. And it became like it was obvious that something happened. Something was wrong because you can, even if you're a crap team, you can defend, play a very defensive game and keep the score down, especially if you're at that level, because the Brazilians have a lot of great players. Okay, that was my first thought.
Right.
And there's nothing you can do about that because we were thinking about the corruption at the FIFA level.
Yeah.
Then I said, well, let's go up another notch and say it was FIFA. And here's the logic
FIFA.
here.
We say FIFA.
FIFA.
Yeah.
So it's FIFA. So here's the logic for this. Brazil's got to lose because the team that has to win, it's got to be based on the same basic thesis that we've always had along the way.
Right.
Which was the team with the economic strife and the Spanish-like situation has to be the team that wins. And that country is Argentina.
I got a clip.
Good.
It started peacefully enough, Argentine car workers protesting against layoffs. But clashes on the Panamericana highway leading into Buenos Aires soon erupted as angry pickets confronted police. The auto part company Lear has announced mass redundancies, blaming them on the current recession. Unions say it's the fault of the government pandering to American companies in unpopular debt negotiations. This is happening because President Cristina Fernandez's government is doing business and negotiating with imperialists to pay the fraudulent external debt, and for this reason it has to maintain good relations with the American company owners. Argentina has until July the 30th to reach a deal with hedge funds suing for full repayment of sovereign bonds which the country defaulted on in 2002. It's been holding out, but the American Supreme Court, where the case was heard, ruled in favour of the funds. Payment will send Argentina into its second default in 13 years.
There you go.
Exactly. And of course, our hedge funds are pretty funny. They can get away with this, but they did. Anyway, so the logic would be this. You cannot have a final with Brazil and Argentina for a couple of different reasons. One is that it takes the European out. I should have thought about this. The audience is worldwide, and you don't want South America, two countries sitting right next to it. It's like the World Series in 1989 where the Giants played the A's. I mean, so you go across the bridge and there's the other team.
Right.
Nobody's interested in this game except people in Northern California.
Right.
And so you got to keep one of the European teams in the finals. And if you want Argentina to win, that means it has to be Germany. And you definitely don't want Argentina playing Brazil in the finals because that would cause some riots and it would cause all kinds of strife. And it would be bad to see these two countries, the two countries butting that are right next to each other in the finals. So Brazil had to be taken out. They decided to throw the game in a massive way. This is like the punch-drunk fighter that throws a boxing match, and the guy takes a wild swing at him, misses him, and the guy goes down, and he's out. That's essentially what we got to see. And so the winner, and we didn't. I don't think we were thinking clearly. I also think that the FIFA people were not going to be intimidated by Brazil and their threats. Essentially, and we were actually buying into the idea that Brazil is going to burn down the place if they don't win, and the Brazilians were saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So they weren't going to be pushed around. You guys wanted the cup, you got the cup. Now just live with what we're doing, which is making a political statement in favor of Argentina.
And there are elections coming up in Brazil.
Right, I know that's going to be funny.
Yeah.
Some people think this will overthrow the government. Whatever the case was, I think if we go back to the basic no agenda theses that we normally use to analyze these things, and we had recognized the Argentina situation a little, since we didn't talk a lot about it, I think we may have gotten this correct right off the bat instead of picking Brazil. And the only reason we picked Brazil because of the intimidation factor that they're going to burn down the place,
which is not happening.
This is well, that's because if you get trounced, at that level, it's not like it was a close game and you could say it was, it's just you just didn't play. You gave up.
Right. Whatever
the case, I think we outthought ourselves, and instead of really being objective like we've been in the past,
I think we just got it wrong.
Well, that's what I mean, because I think we
got it wrong.
We weren't thinking along the lines that we thought of in the past.
Well, there's one other thing that now comes to mind. Now we have a final with the two countries that each have a living pope. And one is out and one is now the pope.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would affect the outcome of the game. The game's going to Argentina. That's all there is to it. There's no way Germany's going to be allowed to win this game.
If they do win, oh man.
If they do win, then we can stop. Then we just have to assume that this game wasn't rigged. Because that way, that's a bad assumption.
I find that hard to believe. I mean, in looking at the news about the Dutch game, so the Louis van Gaal, the coach, the trainer, the manager, or whatever for the Dutch. So he didn't do his switcheroo, putting in the long, tall goalie with the genius move that he made. I guess he couldn't, or I don't know. I don't know how this works, but he didn't do that. It didn't happen. And now in the newspapers this morning, he's saying two of the players didn't want to actually take any penalty kicks. They refused to do it. And so not all of his best players, apparently, or his best penalty kickers were kicking penalties.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think so, Coach.
Yeah.
But you're our best guy. Nah, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, he says Ron Vlaar was not his first choice to take penalty kicks.
That game was rigged, too.
It was 0-0.
Yeah, well, yes, you keep the game 0-0, which is a classic soccer match. And then you do these kicks, and the kicks determine who wins. And all you have to do is have the goalie in your pocket.
Well, anyway, so I agree with you. I think we still need to look at the geopolitical aspect for our prediction. And in this case, that would have to be Argentina, since Germany just doesn't. Well, there's other issues going on with Germany, but it does not have the geopolitical issues and actual riots already taking place. And it would certainly calm everybody down, considering what's happening, which is pretty much the only thesis our predictions are ever based on.
That would be if we just stuck with that, we'd be right, instead of we're getting carried away with over analysis, which is what happened to us. And this will also give South America a World Cup, which I don't believe they've ever won.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Anyway, it'll be the good news is it'll be Sunday after the show. So if anything happens that makes us change our mind, we can still get to it just before that happens.
Yeah,
if Germany goes into depression.
It's not going to happen. Germany.
Dingo, boom, boom, chakalaka, boom, 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 chakalaka, boom, boom.
Deutschland Blitzkrieg, Deutschland Blitzkrieg, Deutschland Blitzkrieg.
So there's some stuff happening with Deutschland.
And by the way, this also falls into the get Germany thing.
Yeah. Oh, so man.
Argentina has to win.
The Deutschland Blitzkrieg, this is crazy. Now we have a second spy.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah, right. No, I did see this.
Oh, this is great. I got a couple quick clips here. Let's see.
Tensions remain high between the United States and Germany after another alleged case of spying. A 31-year-old German Secret Service employee was arrested just last week. He's suspected of selling secrets to America. Well, today, Chancellor Angela Merkel made her very first public remarks on the case.
Der Generalbundesanwalt ermittelt.
If the allegations are true, it would be for me a clear contradiction to what I consider to be a trustful cooperation between agencies and partners.
Some politicians from Chancellor Merkel's own party are demanding that U.S. intelligence operatives be expelled from Germany. But the investigation into the alleged double agent is expected to take months. So there's a chance the political pressure may drop off unless there are more surprises in a city with a rich and murky history of spying.
Oh, I love the way
I smell Putin.
Oh, no! Putin! Well, interestingly, so a lot has happened since this news broke, which was yesterday, early yesterday. And we'll be talking about Grand Greenwald Don Raff later on, but he's been doing the rounds about his huge revelation, and we definitely need to analyze that. But he goes on CNN with Jake Tapper, and this is one of those things where it's so obvious that Jake has been told you need to ask this question, otherwise Glenn won't come on your show or whatever. And he had to state this.
I want to get to your story, Glenn, in a second. But first, Glenn, you suggested there in a Wired magazine interview that there might be a second NSA leaker out there in addition to Snowden. I'm wondering, has Snowden confirmed that?
It's not that it's confirmed. It's just that there have been stories published by other media outlets about NSA using NSA documents that very notably didn't indicate that Edward Snowden was their source for the documents, leading, I think, to the reasonable suspicion that there's another source or sources providing documents to media outlets.
All right, back to your story.
Right. All right. Yeah, I did whatever you told me to do. Now, there's a couple angles to this. Now, first of all, this is based upon news that was reported in Germany, which came from Jacob Appelbaum. You remember this guy? He's the Tor guy.
He's our favorite guy.
Yeah.
We all remember him.
Right.
And as you would call him, the Torphony.
Yeah. Well, I've never called him that, but I like it.
As you might call him that.
And all of a sudden, he's now former WikiLeaks. And it's like, what? What happened there? And of course, he lives in Berlin with the entire, faction of whatever they are. And now we have a second leaker, and it's coming from Germany. You watch. This is going to swing around. We've got everything is all anti-Germany. We're now scrutinizing Commerzbank, which is Germany's second bank, I think, number 2 bank. Over there, just like the French, they were dealing with Iran, illegally, because we said you can't do that.
I think we're dropping hints about some things that show up in these news reports. This was from the NewsHour. This is the clip, NSA WAPO. This was just a little explanation of that article that ran in the Washington Post with a couple of. It was very weirdly presented because it kind of talks about the NSA collecting all this stuff on everybody, Twitter photos, selfies, and all the rest. It's a reason, by the way, do not post pictures like that. Anyway, but they drop a couple little tidbits in here that I think were put there just to get it was a signal to somebody for something.
In an article published today, the Washington Post said it reviewed more than 160,000 emails and instant message conversations and another 8,000 documents that were collected between 2009 and 2012. The paper says ordinary Internet users, American and non-American alike, far outnumber legally targeted foreigners in the communications intercepted by the National Security Agency. The paper reports that nearly half of the files contained details that the NSA identified as being from U.S. citizens or residents. The report also found that some of the communications captured by the NSA did contain significant intelligence value, including, quote, a secret overseas nuclear project, double dealing by an ostensible ally, and the identities of aggressive intruders into U.S. computer networks.
So we have 3 items that they just dropped in with no anything. We got no details, which I find offensive, by the way. It doesn't take that much work.
In a row.
So somebody's doing a secret nuke, which I believe could be Israel or China or who knows who, Japan. Could be anyone. The double dealing has got to be Germany.
Yeah.
And then the third one, what was the third one? It was, people spying on us, and we got their names.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. But the secret nuke and the double dealing was the 2 that got my attention with no details.
Well,
who are these people?
Why provide details? This is no, that whole article, the Washington Post, they say they just say this stuff, but they say, well, we can't publish this. We're not going to show you this. The State the Department of Defense asked us not to do this. Now it's, even though we know from very early on when Guardian editors were talking with Charlie Rose, that all these outlets pretty much always go to the government first to say, can we publish this?
Daddy, can I go out to play?
And
no, stay in.
So I would presume that you just got to think everybody is in play in this. It is really one big script. It's a script. It's a big spectacle. And the latest, of course, is now. This is actually the second report. It came out this morning. Now we have dudes in uniform in Germany actual dudes in uniform going in front of the press talking about this spying.
An employee of Germany's defense ministry is at the center of the latest investigation. His Berlin home and the ministry offices have been searched by police. The German media says the alleged spy is from the military and worked in a department dealing with international security. The official response to those reports has been short on detail.
I can
confirm that there are investigations of the federal state prosecution which fall into the Defence Ministry's area of responsibility. I cannot go into further detail, but I can tell you that we are taking this case very seriously.
And so are the country's lawmakers.
Dass diese Spionagetätigkeit einen enormen
This espionage activity causes enormous diplomatic damage. We can't see what information is supposed to be collected in this way, but what we can see is substantial damage in public opinion.
Now that's interesting. They say substantial damage in public opinion? Oh, really? So do the Germans now hate us?
I don't know.
I haven't noticed.
So.
I haven't seen anything about the public opinion. I mean,
I think that's what they're trying to twist it that way.
Exactly. This is clearly
because those double-dealing Germans, they're working with Putin. That's what it is. And you know what it's all about? It's about Snowden.
We don't have a Merkel shout.
Merkel.
Oh, this is no good.
Shortly.
This is no good. Well, so we're going to just flow into something else that happened. So now we have, of course, we still have Sarah Harrison writing her book in Berlin. And now let's recap Sarah Harrison. She came into WikiLeaks as an intern and rumored, as far as I'm pretty convinced about the evidence, she was Julian Assange's girlfriend. And now she is living in exile, investigative journalist. Which is okay. I've never called myself a journalist. I'm still a disc jockey. I'm a.
That's a record, Adam.
I'm a legal groupie. But she is. So what?
You're a legal groupie as opposed to an illegal groupie. What kind of a groupie are you?
No, like law groupie, like a lawyer.
You're a law,
like a lawyer groupie. Yeah.
Yeah, you're.
Yeah, like I suck up to lawyers. Like, yeah, it's cool. Now, so she just to make matters worse. Now, even though she is British, she was with Edward Snowden in the Moscow airport, and then she was in Moscow with him
and she was well groomed when she was with Snowden.
She looked great. She had a sexy ass black dress on. Oh, by the way, I have the title for her book now. It's official.
Okay.
Blowing the Whistle.
No. No. That's a good one, though.
I made it up. So she's in Berlin, and she's now fronting she's fronting this phony baloney Courage Foundation, which is essentially a way to take money away from Assange and put it in.
Assange. So I know that we were talking about this on a previous show. Right. I think it's just genius.
Now,
Assange can't do anything about it.
No. And here's what's troubling. The story has gone from she doesn't want to go back to England because of their Section 7 rule, which is the one that they used on Glenn Greenwald's husband, and detained him for 12 hours, and then, of course, let him go, even though he had apparently a USB stick encrypted with stuff on it. She says she would be afraid she would incriminate herself, or what. But, no one has said you can't come back into the country. I don't believe that has happened. She is claiming that she can't go back because she doesn't want to get into trouble. There's no one has said we're going to arrest you or anything like
we'll
that.
Get into trouble for what? Right. She has some phony, lame reason, but this is nonsense.
Okay. Now here's the setup.
There'd be so much spotlight would be on her to such an extreme
exactly.
Nothing would happen.
Exactly. And her parents are from elite circle. She's from Seven Oaks, well-known spook territory.
MI6.
And so the Deutsche Welle, German broadcasting, who, by the way, also hosted Amy Goodman when she had her interview with our friend Sarah Harrison. You recall that?
Yep.
That when there was a lot of bogativity in that interview, we played clips from that. So they had the Global Media Conference. This is a kind of like Le Next Web, German style. Der Nächste Web. And it's a big to-do, and she does a keynote, which of course I watched, and she does a lot of and I have a very small part of hers, but what I wanted to play for you was the intro. This is the woman from the Deutsche Welle, German broadcasting, and her introduction of Sarah is very, very telling for the connection and relationship she has currently, and also, you'll hear later, the disdain for the United States. She's an interesting piece of the puzzle, which I think will unfold.
Wonderful good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful good morning.
Wonderful good morning. This is how we should say. Wonderful good morning, John.
Wonderful good morning.
John, wonderful good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, John. Jan, wonderful morning.
Wonderful good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful good morning, Sarah. And we are going to go into the third day after a brilliant boat trip last night.
Brilliant boat trip?
Oh, a brilliant. Oh, how can a boat trip be brilliant in any way?
At least it wasn't a train trip. This is good news. It was just a boat trip. Brilliant.
Getting right into the aspects that we have started and that we have continued to focus on the last couple of days, the NSA scandal, and before that, WikiLeaks. You may remember that there are just sort of two male names associated with the whole thing. First of all, Julian Assange, and then, of course, Edward Snowden. Yesterday morning, we had the greetings of Glenn Greenwald. But, ladies and gentlemen, of course, for them to do what they did, they also need counterparts. They need people that they work together with, trusted people, competent people, people who are brave just as much as they are.
Okay, this is interesting. This is good positioning.
Oh, yeah, brave.
Brave. Brave. People who are just as brave as they are.
Why is this conference in English?
Because there's messages. And she doesn't speak.
It's in Germany, right? They're doing this in Berlin.
Well, there's actually
a German conference. Why is she speaking in English?
Because she's introducing. First of all, the Germans speak perfect English. She's introducing Sarah, who's going.
Why would they do a conference in English? I don't care if they speak great English.
But it's a message for the rest of the world. It's messaging.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
What was I thinking?
Yes. And she will make mention that Sarah's German is not quite good enough, but almost to do this, which is another. It's all messaging.
And today we have a lady here who's been incredibly brave.
Incredibly brave.
Not only has she worked together with Julian Assange on WikiLeaks as both a legal advisor and a journalist.
Excuse me, a legal advisor? What? What? I'm sorry, she's a lawyer now? Let me think. Let me look at her. No, not according to her own Wikipedia. Legal advisor. So it's positioning here and investigative journalist. All right.
But then she said, well, I'm going to help this guy, Edward Snowden, get out of Hong Kong, try and find somewhere to stay. And the backlash of that is, whilst one would think that the UK is just sort of easy to go to, certainly if you have a European passport, Sarah cannot go back to her home.
What? Well, she can't go back. Sorry, this is not entirely truthful.
In the UK. She's been in Germany now for about 9 months and almost getting ready to do this speech in German, but she's opted to do it in English. We'll now hear a very different story, and afterwards there will be a little bit of time for Q&A. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me a very brave lady, Sarah Harrison, who was already showing the Deutsche Welle logo on an interview broadcast yesterday on Democracy Now! Together with Amy Goodman, and we saw Deutsche Welle sort of everywhere. That was made possible by some of the colleagues.
But this is like, whoa, we're on Amy Goodman, War and Peace Report. Oh, our logo, good work. What is that about?
I don't know. Maybe it was a quid pro quo, free publicity in exchange
something like that.
Thank you very much.
Sarah, can I borrow a microphone?
So forward to listening to you, to listening to your story, and to see how we could progress it and how maybe you could get some support from the people here. Sarah Harrison.
All right. I have like a 1-minute clip from her because her speech is boring. It's completely boring. It's just rehashing stuff. But she starts off, and it's all America's shit. America is bad. Screw America. And it's about, what does she call it? Unaccountable power is the title of her speech. And so let's listen to her talk about America's. And by the way, I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying this is all part of the blitzkrieg between America and Deutschland. This is part of that script.
Unaccountable power when you're talking about governments. Well, many people, especially in the West, will say, well, obviously this is the case in places like Russia, China, places like that. But here in the West, we live in democracies. We have many systems of checks and balances. We can vote. So the question is this really true? Put your hand in the air if you have a phone.
Oh, I have a phone. No, I don't have a phone, actually.
Okay, so you're all being tracked, spied upon. Your microphone can be turned on. They can listen to your conversations. How many of you voted for that to happen? Not one.
Okay, all right. So
that's kind of specious.
All right, fine.
So here we have a power that is reaching into all of our lives, can listen to everything and see everything that we're doing if they want to, and yet none of us voted for it. I would say that that's a pretty powerful mechanism that has been not held to account until it came to Edward Snowden.
I'm sorry. We should
supposed to vote on everything?
Apparently,
what she's implying.
Yeah, we're supposed to have a vote.
Hey, can you turn on my thing? By the way, have you ever butt dialed anybody?
Yeah, sure.
Well, and you ever heard somebody butt dial you?
Oh yeah, because more than once, because I'm always at the top of the list with A for Adam.
Oh,
so
I am butt dial. Have you ever listened in on a butt dial call?
I am the go-to butt dial guy, actually. Yes, of course.
Everybody listens in.
I record it if I can, sure.
Well, most of the time, it's just somebody that's in their pocket. You can't hear anything.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's rarely rarely any good.
So these guys are listening in to what? Yeah. But okay, right. We'll let that slide.
When Julian actually started WikiLeaks, he thought that most submissions would come from places like Russia or China. And we have had many submissions from all over the world, including Russia and China. But these were not our largest leaks. And the other largest leaks in the decades have also come from the same country that ours did, the United States. And through these...
You hear this? Is United States. No mention of the GCHQ or anything, or the Five Eyes, which she is going to say now, but it's all United States. And then she has trouble remembering who else.
We can see the truly unaccountable power of today. The United States working with its partners and allies, especially the Five Eyes, which is, of course, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, with the United States.
Yeah, United States. Just remember United States.
Meanwhile, she's got her fingers going out. 1, 2.
Yeah. Okay. Now, apparently, and this is crazy, Edward Snowden has 18 lawyers. Everybody is Ed Snowden's lawyer all of a sudden. He has.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I'm Ed Snowden's lawyer. Make it 19.
Attorney. I think you should call attorney.
Attorney.
We have that Jocelyn Radick. She, the one who gets, when she gets excited, talks all funny.
Oh, she's the one who talks like this.
Yeah, we have his dad had,
got crazy dad. We don't know if it's even his dad.
Yeah, got the high end guy. And now there's Wolfgang, his German lawyer.
NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden would like to return to the United States, according to his lawyer. He's currently living in Russia, where he was granted a year's asylum. Speaking in Germany, his lawyer said Snowden hoped to one day be able to go back to the US, although he faces criminal espionage charges there.
And that's his German lawyer, Wolfgang. So the script is unfolding and
very poorly written, in my opinion.
Well,
as a writer, I think they could have done better.
Well, the thing that, and we can go to this now if you want, but I recall us discussing weeks ago that and it was based on. So I tried finding it. I don't. Maybe I only read it somewhere, and we didn't talk. Somewhere I read if Palestine and Israel go at it, that would really be the beginning of the meltdown, the global meltdown, and it was in relation to Ukraine, to the Middle East, to everything. And now this, of course, is happening. Do you recall us talking about that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, it must be my crazy.
No, you're probably thinking you were mulling it over. We're going to do it on the show, and then we end up talking about something else that never happened.
Possibly. And so now, this is now taking place. We can take a little side journey if you wish.
Side journey.
It's very interesting to see the reporting. Here's NBC taking the side of the Palestinians.
But in Gaza, there were no sirens warning of Israel's assault on the Strip. A woman escaping with her children. A man is heard shouting, "Where is the world?" Others just running by the wounded. In the rubble of Israel's airstrike, a man is trapped. With a little help, he is rescued. The might of Israel's military unleashed on Gaza, targeting suspected launching sites and the home of suspected militants. Authorities there saying this one strike killed 7, including 3 children.
This future will be very bad and very harsh for us. But what we can do?
That's so funny when he says, what we can do. I know so many Israeli guys, and they've always, instead of what can we do, they always say, what we can do. It's something weird about their language, how it reverses. MSNBC also. Now, this is Ronan.
The liberal media is generally on the Palestinian side of this debate. They won't go overboard and become Jew haters,
right? But
generally speaking,
Ronan, the Frank Sinatra kid over there on the MSNBC. Now he had Noura Erakat on with some other dude. I don't even know who that was. And she's she's a scholar, Palestinian American scholar of Middle East. The University of Berkeley. And she pushes back, but then he also says something very interesting here.
I just wanted to point out that it's actually misleading to say that this is an attack on Hamas. It's actually an attack on the Palestinian civilian population within the Gaza Strip.
Which is a good point, what she's saying there. If you look at the numbers.
15,000 members of Hamas may live, but which is home to about 1.9 million Palestinians. And then, as far as Mr. Miller's suggestion that the U.S. stay on the sidelines, that's a little hard for the U.S. to do when it's already neck deep in this conflict. It provides Israel with $3.1 billion annually. It has protected Israel from any type of accountability within the UN system, within legal systems abroad, and within the U.S. legal system here at home. It's because of this U.S. provided impunity, because of this unequivocal
legal system.
Oh yeah.
What does the U.S. legal system got to do with anything?
I have no idea. They're just talking.
Financial and military support that we see what you call a movie, but actually would amount to a massacre, repeating itself every few years. And in fact, for the U.S. to be involved, I say either suspend aid to Israel per its own laws, the Foreign Assistance Act, or its military trade agreements with Israel, that it has to abide by human rights law, or that it remove itself altogether and get out of the way so that the international system can hold Israel to account,
Nora,
as the International Court of Justice has tried to do.
The point you led with there, Nora, is
we
one
can go
that...
on and have an analytical discussion. We could have a moral one. We could try to combine the two. Look, meanwhile, back on planet Earth, you've got a basic problem.
That's not fair. This is planet Earth.
Let's look at the first point that Nora made.
Here it comes.
Can I finish?
Hold on a second, please. The point that she made there as to whether they're attacking Hamas or attacking the civilians, I mean, that is the million-dollar question right now. These are heavily, densely populated areas that we're talking about.
Oh, crap. Oh, man. All that. Did I cut it off? So at a certain point, he talks about, this is like, screw it. I'm sorry. I'm confused on that. Anyway.
Well, summarize. I got a couple clips.
Well,
on the other side of this
I have the other side of this in the House. This is where one of the representative from Florida, I forget her name, Ross Latinen, I think. She does her 1 minute. She requests a minute to talk and mentions something very interesting. She, of course, as you're about to hear on the Israeli side.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in full support of our friend and ally, the Democratic Jewish State of Israel.
Now, that's an interesting term, the Jewish State of Israel. This is what they've been pushing for. They've been pushing for this.
This has been an issue that has not been resolved where yeah, I know. We have to discuss this in more detail at some point when we actually get a better grip of it.
Well, what I'd like is I'd like to have our knights. We have knights in Israel. Of course, we have Sir Jonah, the Knight of Zion. And we got lots of knights. And they've been completely silent. I hope they're okay. I hope they're not like bombed away or whatever. I doubt it, but they haven't come back. They have not a peep. And we need some boots on the ground information.
Well, I have a couple of clips from. Is that clip done? You're done. You're gonna.
She just keeps on going. Obviously, the point was the Jewish state. I thought was interesting.
Yeah, the Jewish state thing. Well, this has become a bone of contention amongst the Israelis themselves. But let's play a couple clips from France 24 because there's some interesting information in here too. This is the clips Hamas versus the Iron Dome, which is something we forget about. Which is there's a. No, Iron Dome.
It's an Iron Dome. It doesn't always work. It doesn't work. Yeah. Perfect.
Well, many Palestinians in Gaza have been cheering the rockets as they are launched into Israel. Militants say that a nuclear reactor in the desert at Dimona is one of their targets for long-range missiles. It's widely suspected that atomic weapons are being developed at the site. Hamas's reach is now stretching ever further into Israel, with a rocket hitting Zishron Yaakov, a town which lies well over 100 kilometers to the north of Gaza. Kathy Clifford tells us now about Hamas's military capability. It would be the furthest distance a missile fired from Gaza has ever reached. Israeli media reported 2 rockets crashed into the sea 165 kilometers north of Gaza at the port city of Haifa on Wednesday. This after the town of Hadera, at a distance of 116 kilometers, was hit a day earlier. The last Israeli offensive against Gaza in 2012 was meant to have severely dented Hamas's capabilities. But less than 2 years later, the group's range of rockets and distance they can fire to is increasing. Their Iranian-made Fajr-5 missiles have a range of 75 kilometers.
Of course, Iran.
And there's Syrian M302 rockets, a range of 160 kilometers. Specialists say they're capable of hitting major Israeli cities.
Both of those have the capability of reaching not only the cities in southern Israel, which Hamas have been battering in recent weeks with large numbers of missiles, but also the major Israeli cities such as Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
Hamas's rockets are all unguided, but are being fired at an intense rate in a bid to overwhelm Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. Experts say Hamas could keep going at this rate for around 6 weeks. They believe the group has an arsenal of some 10,000 missiles.
Hamas's ability to maintain a high rate of rocket fire has in fact increased over the years after each conflict. Hamas's strategy is to engage Israel in limited conflicts and then expand its military capability again.
Israel's now mulling over a ground operation which could hamper Hamas's ability to again stock up on weapons at the end of the conflict.
I got to tell you, there's nothing like this particular issue that gets people riled up against each other. And I'm just seeing the chat room alone. It's really amazing.
You know what's funny about these new missiles, especially the Syrian one? This is like me. Let's say Hamas was in San Francisco,
right?
That means they'd be pounding Sacramento, and anyone who's got familiar with the distance, which is about 90 miles away, you could be pounding Sacramento from that distance. This is not a trivial situation, especially when they're firing 200 missiles an hour or whatever the number is. I think that was the number, and they got 10,000 missiles to fire. You can do a lot of damage. You can see why these guys would be a little irked about this. So if we play part 2 and you get kind of you'd have to imagine being in the situation. Yeah, you're probably going to do more damage to the other side, but which is what they want you to do for publicity purposes, because Hamas doesn't care about the Palestinians. But that's in my opinion. But let's play this Hamas versus Tel Aviv report, and you get just I think this needs to be understood a little bit.
Tel Aviv once again under fire this morning. How are people feeling over there in Israel?
I think people here are feeling fed up because every so often their lives are put on hold. This is a repeating pattern, as we know, a cycle that goes back to 2005 when Israel left the Gaza Strip. But, 2009, 2012... They're frightened and they're tired of it, and they actually support their government's very tough operation in Gaza because, as they all say, we want this to end. We want our lives to just be able to continue. One of the startling images from yesterday, I think, is a woman, a bride, who found her wedding interrupted, and she goes down to the bomb shelter to complete her wedding vows. So there is that feeling here. Someone said it's as if we're living in a reality TV show called Gaza, which repeats itself. And of course, for people in Gaza, it's the same feeling, only more deadly. There have been reports about the children on both sides, both having bedwetting problems, both having trauma-related issues. So it doesn't seem to end, and it traumatizes everyone on both sides of this line.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what we end up with.
It's the thing that gets me, wasn't Hamas broke? Wasn't that what they caught that guy trying to, was it the ambassador trying to do an end around to get money to Hamas because they couldn't make payroll?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. They
apparently spending all their money on missiles. I'm sure those little missiles that they use from the Iranians and the Syrians that aren't cheap.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, okay, so do you have an analysis of this? Because
no, I mean, my analysis is that I think this whole thing is just as a taunting. This is I think the Hamas people with their missiles. Well, yeah, there's two things I want to point out. One is with the spies in the sky and the clear skies you have over that area most of the time. Maybe they're only launching these missiles when there's overcast. It's possible. I don't know. No one's ever said anything about this. When do they launch the missiles? Because it seems to me that you'd be able to pinpoint in real time where the missiles are being launched from with spy satellites, and then you could send drones immediately to that spot. And yeah, it's probably in a neighborhood and it's going to kill all kinds of collateral other people. But you could take these missile launchers out. It seems to me, but again, I'm not sure because of when the launch times are. But
but okay, hold on a second.
They got to do something. You can't just let somebody fire 10,000 missiles at you without taking action. Or would you just sit back and say, well, whatever?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I'm going back to 1919 when all this bull crap started. This whole thing.
Well, I think it started actually biblical times, but that's another philosophical story. Goes way back.
Yeah, okay. That's right. God drew the line. Yeah, this is where it starts. Well, hallelujah, everybody.
I don't know how this...
Good to see everybody who loves God in different ways killing each other. Good work, everybody. Screw all of you. Kill each other. Fine.
Now, I don't see how this involves us, and I don't understand that woman.
What do you mean? We built the Iron Dome. What do you mean that involves us?
The stupid Iron Dome.
Yeah, we give billions of dollars. We sell stuff. We sell stuff to them. What do you mean?
One of the little clips, because this was going on forever, and because the French are very interested in this. And one of the clips says, yesterday they fired 200 missiles at Tel Aviv or someplace, and two were shot down. They were so proud of.
Hey, this Iron Dome is not this is not a great thing that we're doing.
I'm thinking two. No, what?
Yeah. That's just a ripoff.
No, it's a total scam. Iron Dome.
But geopolitically, in this entire region, it's so complicated. I have no background, no education, will not ever be able to understand this, and quite frankly, have no desire to even create an opinion other than it is all related, and it is all the pieces are coming. Rubbleize the entire area as far as I'm concerned. That's what's going on. Just screw everybody and everything.
They're getting there. There's a report. I don't know if I have this one.
I've got to find that thing that I was reading where I said, if this thing escalated with Israel and Palestine or Hamas or whatever you want to call it, the Jewish state versus the Hamas,
The Gaza people is what it really was.
Whatever. This cannot be good.
No, it can't be. And here's the other thing that's I think it's being overlooked, which I think is more important because you don't want to rebelize these guys, but it's going to happen perhaps. Play the Jordan being set up clip.
Yeah, no, we knew this was happening.
Protesters have rallied near the Israeli embassy in Jordan in support of Palestinians, chanting, "We are going to Gaza, millions of martyrs." Riot police arrested dozens of anti-Israeli demonstrators on Wednesday in Amman. The protest was organised by the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood. Opposition parties in Jordan are planning another rally in downtown Amman after prayers on Friday.
All right.
Is there a little thing there that said Allah? Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear it.
When she says Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood, and it was like a little background clip that they snuck in.
Just a little sweetening?
Yeah.
No,
you play that again, see if you can hear it?
Hold on a second. Which one was it again? Jordan being set up. Yeah, hold on.
Protesters have rallied near the Israeli embassy in Jordan in support of Palestinians, chanting, "We are going to Gaza, millions of martyrs." Riot police arrested dozens of anti-Israeli demonstrators on Wednesday in Amman. The protest was organised by the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood. Opposition parties in Jordan are planning another rally in downtown Amman after prayers on Friday.
We should do that too. We'll just be talking all of a sudden, Allah. What?
It was cut in.
It was. Or it was certainly jacked up. The sound was jacked up at the end.
That's funny. I didn't notice that when I was clipping it. Very, very interesting. Yes, so they got that, and that means rebelization is coming.
Did you read that Robert Kagan piece that I sent you? You probably didn't have a chance.
I didn't have a chance. I was going to.
It's and this is being hailed as
I then forgot about it.
Yeah, so this is well, I need to remind you of that kind of stuff, I guess. This is a piece written by Robert Kagan. And it's being hailed by the neocons as, the piece. You must read this.
God, now I feel bad about this.
No, it's in the show notes. It's called "The Allure of Normalcy: What America Still Owes the World." Oh yeah, it's a beauty, and I'll just read a little bit.
It's a beauty.
So these are the Kagans. These are the people who got us into Iraq in 2003. The Project for New American Century before 9/11 happened. They were all over this, and now, of course,
this was their goal.
We have Noodleman, the vice ambassador of state.
They're the kings of the rebelizers.
Hold on a second. Well, we have rebelization. We got all kinds of clips for this. I just never get to it. No, hold on a second. Here we go. Yes.
Rebelize the place.
There you go. So I'll just read the first paragraph or so just to get an idea. Almost 70 years ago, a new world order was born. Right there, I'm hooked, right? I'm already in. I'm like, yeah! From the rubble of World War II, built by and around the power of the United States. Today, that world order shows signs of cracking and perhaps even collapsing. The Russian, Ukraine, and Syria crises and the world's tepid response, the general upheaval in the greater Middle East and North Africa, the growing nationalist and great power tensions in East Asia, the worldwide advance of autocracy and retreat of democracy. Taken individually, these problems are neither unprecedented nor unmanageable, but collectively, they are a sign that something is changing and perhaps more quickly than we may imagine. They may signal a transition into a different world order or into a world disorder of a kind not seen since the 1930s. And then it goes on from there.
Oh, you could keep reading as far as I'm concerned.
It's a breakdown in the world order that America made is occurring. It is not because America's power is declining. America's wealth, power, and potential influence remain adequate to meet the present challenges. It is not because the world has become more complex and intractable. The world has always been complex and intractable, and it is not simply war weariness. Strangely enough, it is an intellectual problem, a question of identity and purpose. And
nice.
And
that's a good spot to stop.
Okay, so here's what the article is about. And he goes back into history and says, America has traditionally always been isolationist, and we didn't want to get involved in World War I, and we got involved. We didn't want to get involved in World War II, and we got involved. And we always got involved because, Nothing can happen. We're protected here. We've got 2 oceans, and what's Japan's going to attack us? So this is how these people operate. And the sad thing is that Kagan, the Kagans and the neocons and the people from Yale and Kerry and all these people, they truly, truly, truly believe that America should be doing this, having bases everywhere, arming people, shooting people up, killing people, that it is our job. And if you really read through it throughout history, we never want to do it, but we're always pulled into it because of some emergency that proves that we have to be involved. Which, of course, Pearl Harbor is obvious, and 9/11 is obvious. And then that is misused. He doesn't say that, but that is misused then for decades as the reason why. And it just never stops until it's, there's a new generation and, we'll create a new reason. And the entire mission of the Kagans and the neocons is, we are the policemen of the world. We maintain the world order. Team America, fuck yeah. This is exactly what this is. And the people who you'd expect are loving this. Woo! Right on, New World Order! Ow! And New World Order, he says it's not new. It's a world order. It was a New World Order after the Second World War. We just have to make sure it doesn't turn into disorder. And they really, truly believe that they're doing the right thing. By the way, I have no proof that they're not. I don't know. I mean, what happens if we actually did nothing? Maybe the world would go to shit. I don't know.
Well, here's what my problem is. These guys, and this is why I don't trust anything they say or do.
Well, they're assholes.
These guys are for one thing, they're transpolitical. They're liars. I mean, without question. I mean, look at what Noodleman was doing in the Ukraine and what we didn't have nothing to do with it. It's like the bad wrestler in an old wrestling match. I didn't hit you illegally.
Well, no, it's worse than that. It's worse than that. People forget.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we can't forget that. People don't mention that anymore.
Right. Although that's key. And it has something to do with this German thing going on. So these guys, these guys are transpolitical, and that kind of bothers me. They start. If you look at the history,
what do you mean transpolitical? What is it?
Transpolitical means they started off as a borderline communists coming out of college, and they were all Democrats, and they could not promote their agenda, which was a very aggressive warlike agenda, and they switched to the Republican side during, I think, late in the Reagan administration. Now they're all the the neoconservatives are all. They switched from being neoliberals to neoconservative. They just changed their name. Right. They're not conservative.
Right.
I mean, they want to do a lot of war spending. They're not conservative by any means. They're Republicans, and then they brought the Republican Party, George Bush, literally on a platter, which helped seal their position within the party. It soon became apparent that these guys were bad actors. And now, from all accounts that I can tell, they're very slowly gravitating to the Democrat Party.
Oh, completely. President Obama quoted Kagan in his State of the Union.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so the Democrats are going to be stuck with these a-holes, and they're nothing but troublemakers. They're the ones they're essentially of old form of Leninists. They really want to take over the place and run it, and they're horrible people. They're warmongers.
Yeah.
And this is nonsense, by the way, about, we only reluctantly did this and we reluctant. That's bullcrap. We entered World War II because we were attacked by the Japanese, and we really didn't have. It wasn't that reluctant. Everybody and their sister signed up.
No. What he's saying is we didn't want to get involved until that happened, and then we
didn't want it. We don't want to get involved. That's what we've always been like. This has been the country.
Yes.
If you read the early founding fathers, said don't get involved in this stuff.
So what he's saying, and this is what I try to convey because you didn't read the piece. What he's saying is, if we don't get involved early, some shit's going to happen to us. He's essentially turning it around, and we pretty much know that, or at least I believe, that these types of attacks are planted, or call them false flag or whatever, in order to get us involved for a number of reasons. I would say mainly financial, for
bankers.
All wars are banker wars.
It was very well documented. It was a bankers bail out the British banks. If we don't get involved, the British banks are going to go down, and we're going to take the brunt of it. So we had the bankers. That's when we started our propagandists. That's when propaganda really took listen in high gear.
Let me read another piece from this. Let me read another passage. Roosevelt and other American statesmen originally hoped that remember, he's a historian, John, and he who writes history gets to write history. Roosevelt and other American statesmen originally hoped that the United States would not have to do everything by itself. Roosevelt planned to share global management among the 4 policemen: the United States, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and China. And Truman in 1945 was bound and determined to slash the defense budget and bring as many troops home as possible. What a stupid idea! Can't make money that way. Yet within 2 years after the war ended, this is his words, the New World Order was already teetering on the edge of collapse, along with hopes for global partnership with the other great powers. Britain quickly signaled its inability to play its historic role, even in the Mediterranean. China descended into civil war and revolution, and the Soviet Union emerged not as a supporter of the New Order, but to American eyes as its greatest opponent, which was, of course, a scam set up. The result was the disheartening realization the United States was going to carry the lion's share of the burden, just as Taft had warned. As Ashton later put it, the United States was going to have to be the locomotive at the head of mankind. Well, I need to do that one again. That's a fantastic little ditty there. The locomotive at the head of mankind. While the rest of the world was going to be the caboose. These people, I'm telling you.
Rubble! Brought to you by Clan Kagan.
These people. Yeah. And I guess, what is it now? Maybe since nobody seems to care about Iraqis and we're war weary, again, the same thing, maybe we have to make it about Israel? That maybe that's why this is happening, so that we do go in and, is that what is at play here? It could be. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
That's going to be tough because we have the country's divided on what side to take. And and there's always this belief that the Israelis, are taking advantage of us and all the rest of it. I don't think it's too, and it's also just, it's this never-ending conflict that's been going on, like you said, since 1919 minimally.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's it. It's got to be something else. Jordan, we'd probably have to do something about that if they start to rebelize that place, because that's a major, major ally. That's not Israel. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what they're dreaming crap up. They're trying to get us involved in Ukraine.
Let's
Syria. They tried to get us involved in Syria. They couldn't get anywhere with that. They had, Noodleman then goes to the Ukraine, tries to get stuff started there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a good spot. Maybe Canada. Mexico.
Let's listen to the Wes Clark 7.
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
Jordan not on the list.
Well, which means, that we wouldn't rebelize, and we just have to do something, though. Of course, Jordan's got a police state, so they usually can take care of these problems by themselves. So every time I listen to that clip, I'm always thinking, the one thing he never says, which the answer to the question I believe would be oil, is why? What is the point?
Yeah. Well, I do want
Kagans are up to it with the oil thing too. I would like to get a better connection between them and international oil.
The Kagans?
Yeah.
Well, Noodleman, of course, is directly connected, but I don't know. That may not be that easy to prove. But the oil, it's clear what's happening with the oil. We have Turkey is preparing for the Kurdish energy future. We have a huge refining tower on its way through, going from Turkey to Kurdistan, the Islamic State now, I guess we call it. From a giant petroleum refining tower dispatched from Dubai to Turkey to be transferred to northern Iraq.
Where did it come from?
Dubai.
They don't make that stuff in Dubai.
Let me see if I can find out who made it.
It's got to come from China.
Could be.
Or anywhere. I mean, I think we can still make those towers.
Really expensive.
They're distillation towers. They're just a giant
70-meter long, 250-ton tower.
Right. And the inside, that's where they boil the oil, and then they take off cuts, and then the cuts go and get separated. And so it's like essentially a still. It's a giant petroleum still, like you'd make alcohol.
Okay. We finally, so at least someone's listening live, we get a note from Israel. I have a feeling it's not going to be very flattering towards us because, of course, we're haters or whatever. So here it is. This is from Pavel. And Pavel says, some info from Israel. First off, Iron Dome works. Get your facts right. It only shoots rockets headed towards populated areas, and it's quite accurate. At the moment, out of 350 rockets fired over 3 days, it intercepted 90 of them and only a handful direct hits. So that doesn't work, I guess. I don't know. Most of them close to Gaza, where it's almost impossible to intercept in time. Well, then it doesn't work. In Israel, Iron Dome is considered the hero of the last 3 days. I was in Beersheba, when the alarm sounded, and I photographed 2 intercepts, so the Iron Dome works now. It didn't before. Oh, okay. And the Air Force does shoot the rocket launchers, but just keep in mind there are over 1 million people in Gaza. Gotta go, keep you updated. Well, okay.
All right, well, keep us updated.
Yeah, please. But that sounds like the Iron Dome works some of the time.
Well, it could.
Not all. But,
I remember. I'll go back to the first Iraq War where they were sending the Scuds over, and we had the Patriot missile banks.
The Patriots, yeah, I've forgotten about that.
It turns out over time, and we've reported this before, and everybody knows, and you can look it up. They were showing all kinds of videos of the Patriot missiles blowing up. There's another Scud coming, and boom, there it went.
Wait, here it is.
And it turned out.
Wait, here it is. I'm here in Iraq, John, and another Scud launch.
And Adam, what else you see in there? They're the
Adam. I see the Patriot missiles there. And it's a direct hit.
Well, it turns out that what happened was that this was all bullcrap. The Patriots never had one kill. The Scuds were so crappy that they would go up and just break up in the sky.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's a lot of
may be getting
propaganda.
The locals may be selling a bill of goods to their own populace, because it would be it's distressing to think of these missiles just coming in randomly. This is very similar to the Germans bombing with V1s and V2s, the buzz bomb, London. Yeah. It just made people nervous. Here comes the buzz bomb, and it blows up something. It's very disturbing to have that happening constantly.
Don't they need gas masks? Shouldn't we see that on the? Shouldn't we have Anderson Cooper in Israel?
The gas mask thing will be coming. Watch.
It has to come back.
Good prediction.
Yeah, because it's always fun. It makes for good TV.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. We're reporting here from Israel. We have to put our gas mask on.
It makes for great TV. All right. Let's, regardless, thank you for your courage. And in the morning to you, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning to all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
Yes, and in the morning to our artistes. Thank you very much, Brandon F., for your contribution to the show.
Oh, I also want to thank the artist for the last newsletter I sent out.
Oh, yeah.
It was 20, what was it, 20, I forgot his name. It's 20th Century Fox or whatever it is. 20-point jump shot. I can't remember. He was an artist on the main
20
album cover recently.
20-pot, jump shot, exactly.
20-foot jump shot.
Yeah, thank you, chat room in the morning, to the human resources there at noagendastream.com. Good to see all of you lined up and ready to go. And, of course, we would like to thank our executive producers and associate executive producers. We do that more or less after the opening of every show in order to thank them, because they come in with amounts that that really help the show in great numbers, and especially the previous episode. You can hear, by the way, that sounds like today is the day we're going to cut the grass. Thanks, guys.
One of the things I should point out is that we changed the temp. We've had nothing but email troubles. I sent a special note out to people. I'll probably do another one. We've had, I changed the template to be, because people say, well, make it so it's more readable on the mobile devices. So I found this terrific template that scales everything. So if you, whatever you look at it on it, the pictures get bigger and smaller automatically, and it looks gorgeous on a phone, Android phone, as well as an iPhone.
Yeah, no, I've checked a couple of...
I am killing this template as of today. It brings in, it gets hit as, I don't know what it is, but it's Google, mostly Google, and it either doesn't get delivered or Google puts it in the spam box. The return, normally speaking, we get between 45 and 55% opens on any email I send out, the newsletter. And generally, recently, it's been around 50, 51%. Almost always with the old template.
Right.
The new template, which caused me to write the email, 35%. That was it. And then I got all kinds of feedback. I never found it. It wasn't in the spam box. It didn't even get delivered, which is this is how great Google is. They didn't even deliver it.
Huh.
And there was a bunch of those, and one guy did find it eventually, and then I used his search tip with everybody. No, they still couldn't find it. No email from us coming in, even in spam, promotions, nothing. Never showed up. Thank you very much, Google. The other ones, all we were saying, it was in spam, was in spam. And one, my favorite is, it was in spam before, and I keep telling it it's not spam, or I keep telling it it's not promotions, and it still ends up there. So the Google system sucks.
Well, this is so you use MailChimp, I believe, right?
I do use MailChimp, and Google should know MailChimp is very adamant.
But I don't know if MailChimp is current on their payments because
well, they may not be bribing Google enough. That's a possibility.
It's not bribing, but there are whitelisting services which are very expensive. We talked about this previously.
Well, I know, but this is a Google issue specifically, and Google does their own whitelisting stuff and blacklisting stuff. They have their own. They really don't. They don't use Spaminizer and all the rest of them.
They certainly could. They certainly control if what goes through or not, for sure.
So it doesn't go through. It has all kinds of issues, and the only thing I can see is this template. This template, which has a bunch of scaling code and all kinds of stuff in it, Google goes, that doesn't look right. It's too complicated.
No, it's basically telegraphing. Oh, this is marketing, and then they say, So skip logic, John. Here's how it goes. We receive an email. Okay, where's it from? It says Dvorak.org, but it looks like a MailChimper. Okay, let's see. Oh, no agenda. Quick. Off with its head.
Well, anyway, besides that possibility.
They're making money off of our infrastructure without paying us. That's the bottom line. We are not paying them to use their mail system.
You can say that if you want, but the way I see it is this. I'm getting 50%. I use this template once, I get 35%. I use it a second time after telling everybody about the problem. The second time, which was sent out yesterday, 32%.
Right.
I'm sorry, mobile users. Your problem is with Google. I tried to send out a newsletter that is scalable. It can run on any product.
Now, does this? How about other free email services? Which, of course, is the problem here because you have no control. I mean, if I control what comes through on my server or not, and so you basically you think you have control because you have little buttons to push, but you don't really have control. You're not in control of it.
No, they're controlling everything, and this is my point, which I make, and I'm going to write about this too, because now I got some numbers I can use. This is Google's arrogance. They just think that they own the place. They do not even accept the fact this is a subscribe to newsletter that you can unsubscribe to very easily by going to the bottom of it and clicking a button. You're done. You're not on this newsletter thing anymore unless you resubscribe yourself. They know this. They know this, but there's still, their code is so stupid that when it sees all this crazy, JavaScript or whatever.
Well, you don't actually know that's how it's happening.
That's got to be.
You're presuming.
I am presuming because otherwise it's a ridiculous coincidence. I mean, it's more likely than they're saying, oh, no agenda, we can't send it to them. Why don't they do that all the time? Why just with this template?
I don't know.
That's the problem.
No, that is not the problem. The problem is people decided long ago that it was groovy to use free email services. You get what you pay for. That's it. Well, that's the problem.
That is a problem.
Okay.
And Google's is.
So I'm not complaining because that's.
I think they're worse than the other guys.
Yeah, but I'm not complaining because that's the world. And if you want to play, if people want to play in the Google infrastructure, then an ecosystem, that's what you get. You don't always get everything you want because you're at the behest of them.
Right, and what you won't get is a scalable newsletter that you can read on your iPhone that people want. They want this, but I can't give it to them because nobody gets it.
All right. Okay. Fine.
Anyway, I tried.
Yeah. Fine.
That's I think is a really good-looking presentation.
You take this very seriously.
You put a lot of work in
I will say this is also a bit like I get from time to time, I'll get an email that says, NA show notes is blocked. I got one last week. NA show notes is blocked at work, and it says it's a park domain. So I always say, what is the error message? People just say, it's blocked. No, please give me a little information. What does it say? It's like if an email gets rejected, send me the rejection notice. So I can see, there is some technical information in there. So the note was essentially, it's been blocked. Give me another URL. I'm like, I'll do that, but would you please take the time to contact whoever is in charge of this blocking mechanism and let them know that you think that it's an error. People forget that you can contribute to fixing these things, and you must.
There is a way with Gmail you can fix this too.
Yeah, get off it. Stop it. Don't.
Well, the people you can say that all you want. Nobody is doing that.
Yeah. Well, then there you go. The internet sucks.
You can go if you put our two email addresses, j@dvorak.org and noagenda@dvorak.org into your contact list. The Google says that this stuff will always pass through. I don't believe that's true.
I don't believe it either.
But they say it will.
Yeah, but
now, the other thing is that if you dig around enough, there is a filtering mechanism that Google has in their own Gmail system that is so complicated.
John, I don't care. People have to.
I do care. I don't want to see 32% open rates.
Oh, I understand that. But this is not your fault. People need to find a different solution for their email because it's only going to get worse. The meta issue is Google determines what you consume. Shut up, slave. Google determines that for you, not you, Google. Facebook determines what you see, not you, Facebook. People, figure it out already.
Well, so let's thank a few people who are executive producers for show 633 that did get through and paid attention. Anthony Colangelo in Mount Laurel, New Jersey is our top guy.
Right on.
Excuse me, $600.05. Finishing off my knighthood in a lump sum because you guys deserve it. I recently moved to a new place directly across the street from the U.S. Mint in downtown Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah. Oh, beautiful.
So and there's a hole in the ground, and I did go in there. So I'm literally from where all the money is. I'll take a bingo boom shakalaka karma if it's not too much to ask, and he's got some accounting.
And he will become Sir Anthony. This is fantastic. And as if I knew
and the
it was
Imperials.
Yeah. Whoa, whew, that went over a lot of heads. And as if I knew it, we've got a brand new version.
Bingo boom boom shakalaka boom 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 shakalaka boom boom.
You've got karma.
I'm sorry, but I love that version.
It's jazzy.
It's was not was. Walk the dinosaur.
Wida or Weeda? Wida.
I would say Weeda.
I'd say Wida. You'd say Wida, and I'd say Weeda. 444-43. Been huddled in Manhattan for years listening to your podcast at late night. I don't agree with all who does, though I do agree.
We don't agree with each other. How can you agree with all of it?
That's what I always tell people. I said, we don't even agree with each other. Why would you agree with everything we say? Because actually it's impossible.
Yeah.
Because we don't agree on anything or a lot of stuff. So why can't you agree with it? Anyway, it's a philosophical thing. He says he does agree he should not be using Gmail. But your podcast is an important voice people need to hear. He's got no apparent requests.
Oh, okay.
That came in an email.
And what is this number, 44443? Is that a significant number somehow? I like it.
That was to round off his...
okay. Wait, to round off...
The knighthood.
Oh, because he's not in blue on the...
it wasn't for his knighthood.
In our coded system, no.
Oh, no, it was the other guy was rounding off. I don't know. He doesn't say. If it's a night thing, he's going to have to tell us.
Also, Sir Anthony is also not on the list. All right. Okay, fine.
Sir Anthony?
No, he's not in the email. No, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. I'll fix it.
It says right there.
Yeah,
and it's in blue.
Yeah, go look at the email.
Oh, well. Nathan Newberg in Las Vegas, Nevada, 33333, and I cannot find a note from Nathan. Daniel Serbus in Montevideo, Minnesota, nuts at 33333, and I did find an email from him, even though he sent this in by check. Jingles, he wants a karma. On to the polka clip from the last show. Yes, it's a thing in Minnesota amongst people of a certain age, reliving the dances they had in ballrooms decades ago. If you'd like, check out the old PBS polka show, Fun Time Polka.
No, let's not do that.
And he has a link.
Oh boy, you've unleashed the polka in people. This is not good.
So there used to be a PBS Fun Time Polka on PBS.
Right, here's the karma. I can't stand this polka.
You've got karma.
No polka. I'm boycotting.
We found a chink in his armor.
I'm boycotting the polka.
Polka. Oh, what are you, some sort of a racist?
Yes, I'm
Roy Pierce.
Very against.
Also 3-3. A lot of 333.33s today.
Nice.
Well, a lot by 1, 2, 3, 4. In Fort Pierce, Florida. John and Adam, Value for Value. Who besides the John Birch Society works to eliminate the Council of Foreign Relations? Are they even in business anymore, the John Birch Society? As a libertarian, I am not a good fit with them. With who? The Council of Foreign Relations or the John Birch Society? Yeah, you don't tell us.
It's a little unclear what you mean there.
Very, very poorly written. And no requests, which is fine. Nick Johannes in St. Louis Park in Minnesota, nuts. 333.33. My beautiful wife, Mary Ducharme, decided to bestow an associate executive producer credit upon me for my 31st birthday, which was June 27th. In an amazing act of kismet, or birthday terrorism, I donated for my own associate executive producer credit 2 days earlier. Didn't think I'd actually do it myself. She said I showed her. Okay. I showed her, I guess is what he meant to say. Anyway, as the PayPal decided to flag her payment as fraudulent, it only now just went through.
Oh,
With
no.
her approval, I've decided to upgrade to the full executive producership. Tell Mary I love her.
Aww.
And please tell Eric Humphreys is a douchebag. Again.
Oh, no.
Douchebag.
So I guess we put Nick on the birthday list then, if it didn't go through?
I guess. Yeah, it's a late belated birthday, so he's 31, so put him on the list.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened to the rest of the money.
Okay.
This is always annoying, by the way, when this happens.
Well, there you go. It's just like people use Gmail, you get crap, and we use PayPal, and sometimes we get crap, is what it is.
Yeah, luckily, PayPal works 99% of the time. But we do get a lot of checks, which are very nice.
Much better.
Roll SK in Saskatoon, the Paris of Canada, $316.50. Roll SK here from the Paris of the Prairies. I'd like to dedicate this executive producership to some folks who have helped both myself, my band, and No Agenda, Mr. Oil, Gitmo Slave, and Void Zero help me and my band.
Nice.
The Noble Liars.
That's right.
But they all promoted my music on the stream, and by providing hosting, they provided hosting for the site. No matter what happened on the back end, they got it back up and running great. Thanks, guys. To me, you sysadmins are wizards. I knew you do a crap ton for the show, too, and as a lover of No Agenda, thank you for that as well. Please send me some job karma as I've been laid off and out of work for 3 weeks. Due to the low resource prices in this so-called rich land, Saskatchewan is not Alberta. There is a lull in demand for engineering services. I am forced to whore myself out for construction and project management. So please, some karma. It's always worked for me in the past. Thank you for your courage and ITM.
All right, we'll do a little dude named Ben karma.
Dude named Ben.
There you go.
You've got karma.
Okay. Now you go to associate executive. Well, we'll give him his executive producer. An associate executive producer, good old Andrew Lemancini in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Lemessiny.
What'd I say?
Lemancini, as always.
Lemessiny. 23456, one of my favorite things. Now, this is a good note. It's a little long, but I have to read it. After hearing John talk about Noam Chomsky, I had to investigate. I like language, and I like to think I can smell a skunk. Noam reeks, but I don't have much evidence. I picked up a couple of Noam's books, and WTF, the man is unreadable. Take my money. Amidst much protest, I found this gem from the 1960s, and this is a quote. And I think I sent him a note back saying I think this is one of his rationales for supporting Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. And here's Noam talking. If we're interested in, let's say, diminishing the amount of violence in the world, it's at least arguable and sometimes true that a terroristic act does diminish the amount of violence in the world. Hence, a person who is opposed to violence will not be opposed to that terroristic act.
Whoa, that's deep.
What a crock. And he goes on. Andrew does. This is not a good man. This is a long-winded circular logic condoning violence in the name of peace. This is what he does. Obfuscation and sentences filled with the most amazing language you've ever heard. How could he be wrong? This piece was far more lucid and understandable than his recent work. Apparently, he was just cutting his teeth in the 60s. To quote John, you are lying, liar. Napping for humanity. Bear in hand. For humanity. So he's now a baron.
Nice.
All right.
Andrew Lemessiny. I'm just putting this in. Andrew Lemessiny.
Two more to go. William Doty in Mount Zion, Illinois. I have the note. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll be right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm back. The note was laying on the floor. And you just can't go straight to the note. So he wrote a handwritten, this is long, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But he says, Heil, Adolf, and Jebediah. This is handwritten by, when I saw this, I figured this man was completely nuts.
Oh, Heil, everybody.
Heil, everybody. So he writes this note. Take this poor priapism stricken forever high school slavelet cash from my slave transfer celebration congratulation motto as a thank. This is he's young for your production of the amazing product. No agenda. He has the handwriting of a millennial. It's I blame the schools for this. There is absolutely no reason that the schools don't teach penmanship anymore. And you can do that if you homeschool. In fact, go all the way and teach calligraphy.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And kerning.
Kerning. Kerning's a type.
Yeah, well.
Production of the amazing podcast, No Agenda. I knew it was time to donate when an hour in the neighboring city, when a whore in the neighboring city to Mount Zion, Decatur, vanished in a mysterious gas explosion that took out half of the neighborhood and blew out the water in the houses nearby.
Huh.
The firefighters are still confused as to its cause.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he goes on about this.
It's a drone strike. It's a drone strike. Don't kid yourself.
He de-douche me and give everyone a Reverend Sharpton wee much Charlie Rose karma.
Oh,
in other words, you want the Charlie Rose thing too. Be prepared to hear back from me after I transfer to Gitmo Nation Midwest Berkeley, which is the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Nuts. For de-radicalization in August. Also, I did steal the intro to y'all's donation segment from my graduation speech. I'll send it to y'all when it makes its debut in July.
I'd love to. What did he do? What did he steal?
Prepare your cornholes.
Oh, God.
Thank you for kittens and courage.
Oh, God.
I don't know what he did.
I don't know. This doesn't sound good. Well, at least, hopefully he graduates and can get out of there before they lynch him, whatever he's going to do.
Yeah, it'll be we'll see.
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
Tell me about the sexuality. It's in your DNA.
You've got karma.
There you go.
It's hard to believe he actually said those things. Yeah. Matthew Yates is our final associate executive producer from Fairport, New York, at $207. Thank you for your analysis of the Christine Lagarde babbling like a witch about the number 7. Just wanted to point out that local law enforcement agencies across the U.S. are being outfitted with military equipment, yes, of course, through the 1033 program of the Department of Defense. Following Lagarde's math, 1033 equals 7.
Drop the 0.
I hope you use this donation to buy your seeds in iodine.
We got a lot of emails about that. I might as well tell you right now. Remember I said the 7 years and something that there was I knew about this, and of course, tons of email of the biblical context of Genesis. Jacob interprets the dream of the Pharaoh, and the interpretation, this is where it gets interesting. You would have 7 abundant crop years followed by 7 years of famine. And what I got a lot of response from was people saying for Lagarde to turn it around, saying we had 7 bad years, now it's time for 7 good years, which is not, according to Scripture, is satanical. It's an old Satanist trick, I'm told.
I'm in.
I'm in too. Yeah, everybody's like, oh,
I've been found out.
So, Lord only knows what's going to happen on July the 20th, which also apparently is the day when they wanted to kill Hitler or Hitler's birthday. I don't know. It's like there's a million things happening on July 20th. And apparently...
Well, sounds like a donation opportunity.
Yes. Well...
if anyone opens the email...
No, wait. Someone had it was like if you do... I don't know if I saved this one. It was a donation amount. Here it is. It's too complicated. Reverse karma, 7 years times 33, 231. Drop the 1 is 23. 23 times 104 is the number of No Agenda episodes per year is 2392. 2 plus 3 plus 9 plus 2 is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. Ha! So ask for this 231 donation. You pick a swine that deserves it and give him 7 years.
I'm putting it in the newsletter.
So I'm going to save it. So it's the number is 231, and it is a 7 years of crap for someone. It's a reverse karma. It's not very positive.
Oh, then you could wish it on somebody.
It's le 7 years de caca. The 7 ans de malheur. Because he's.
So you have to send it to somebody. Then you probably you have to have a reverse. You have to do. We could do this, but there has to be some way of reversing the curse.
Well, here it is. So this is. Here's
How
a little.
reverse the curse.
Well, here's a little Scandinavian coup de main for a question raised in 632. Just to confirm, in Quebec, we actually use an expression concerning the number 7 in relation to coming bad period of time. For instance, if you break a mirror in public, chances are pretty high some old lady will come to you, often with fear in her eyes, predicting 7 years of bad luck. In French, it would be 7 ans de malheur. So his suggestion for a donation amount is a twist from French, le 7 years de caca. And then he goes through that whole thing to come up with 231.
All right, well. That's the kind of creativity we have in our audience.
It's very creative. By the way, he has never donated, he says. It's just creative. What? Yeah, very creative.
Satan!
Satan! All righty, people.
All right. I want to remind people that we do have another show coming up on Sunday. I'm guessing it's nobody's going to get a newsletter nor a reminder that it's the show. And so please go to Dvorak.org/NA and help us out in any way you can.
Thank goodness we have your ham radio working, so at least we can grouse at each other over the repeater when the show falls to bits. 14 Charlie, indeed. Thank you all very much. It's highly appreciated. Of course, these are real credits. And you can use them wherever credits are valid, and we'll have a couple of there's one I needed to. We had a make good. This was something weird happened. I'm not quite sure. And this is from Sab Suisse. And he had sent in a donation which would get him a knighthood. It was also for his birthday, which is July 4th. And it never made it anywhere. It didn't make it onto a spreadsheet or anything.
Huh.
Yeah, and he sent this whole...
Was it PayPal?
Yeah, and he even sent a copy of the PayPal. Now, he's from Switzerland, and it was $494.45 to complete his knighthood. And I sent Eric this whole note, and Eric basically just ignores what I had to say, and it's not anywhere. The note is not anywhere, so I'm going to read this.
I'll look into the PayPal bookkeeping.
Please call me by my gamer name, Sab Swiss. That's my desired knight name, Sir Sab Swiss. My birthday is 4th of July, 1960. In the morning, John and Adam, I don't remember how I found the No Agenda podcast, but it was over a year ago. The thing which immediately got my attention was the end tune on the 7th Day by David Marriott. It is simply a masterpiece, which everyone always asks me that. It's on the 7th Day, David Marriott. Took me a while to find out that the No Agenda show is at least as outstanding as this tune. Since I'm a regular listener and don't miss a single show, I understand that you like to have as much Insta-Nights as possible, but I think one has to stay a slave for at least 1 year to be able to really cherish the mercy of No Agenda knighthood.
I mentioned this guy on the last show about the Insta-Night, where you had to be a slave. I read his... That
does sound familiar.
Don't you remember? Yeah.
But if you look at the spreadsheet, it's not on the spreadsheet. So where was it?
Okay, well, just keep reading, because this is a good note.
I decided for my 51st birthday, the 4th of July, would be the perfect day to become a member of the No Agenda Roundtable. I would like to ask for some karma for John and Adam, David Marriott, and all the listeners of the show, and my friends from Sagarista Air Brigade. I don't remember that. So something went wrong somewhere, but it's... and he was really disappointed.
So he's a knight. Well, he's now a black knight.
Yes, exactly.
Had a black knight for over a year.
Exactly, and he gets his karma, of course.
You've got
that's right.
Karma.
So becomes Black Knight, Sir Sab Suisse.
Yeah, which is we've done a really good job of not having a lot of black knights.
So that hopefully is it will make good for the fact that he got missed, and his birthday too. I feel bad. Yeah,
I'll put him on the birthday list for today.
I have him on. I put him there now. Yes. Who knows?
This I think is my fault somehow.
Oh, I'm happy to blame you.
Well, I mean, you can blame anybody you want, but because I remember there's something. Okay, well, that's resolved.
We'll fix it. And so we of course have a show on Sunday. We need your support as always.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And of course, we need you to always help us out getting more people to listen by propagating the formula.
Our formula is this: we go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Shut up, slave. Shut up, slave. Awesome! Yeah! Awesome!
There you go.
Nice.
Whew. Okay.
It's a good group.
Are we already at 143? Are you kidding me?
Because we started early.
My goodness.
Moving right along.
Yeah, it's moving very, very fast.
Well, we can do... So I got a QSL card from KE0AMZ. He sent one for you, too. I'm supposed to mail
have we actually QSO'd to deserve a QSL? This is part of the ham radio, amateur radio culture, where
I wanted to take a break and talk about this a little bit. We have enough hams.
Really? Okay.
Just a little bit.
Wow. Well, let me explain this.
It's not going to be more than a couple minutes.
All right, go ahead.
He didn't send a donation. He just sent in a QSL card. And I was looking at it, and it's like, he's got part of his own address. He needs to get a printer that knows how to print these things. It's got, day 33, month 33, year 33. It's a joke QSL.
Oh, okay. It's not because a QSL card is essentially a confirmation.
Yeah, this is
that you had contact.
Right. And then you get
which we haven't had.
I don't to be collectible. I would recommend anyone going go to Google and type in antique or old or classic QSL cards, and then look at the images, and you'll see all kinds of cool ones. Yeah. Naked women, funny cartoons, guy ham rig in the outhouse. I mean, there's a million possibilities.
Just so you understand, this is the hobby. This is what it's about. you contact each other. You say, what's my signal? Here's your signal. Here's your signal. What's my signal? What's your name? Here's my name. And by the way, you can't say, you have to say, the name here is. You don't say my name is Adam. So the name here is Adam for some reason. And the report is always 5'9". It's never any different. It's always 5'9". 5'9". And then you say, okay, great. Send me a QSL card. You got it. And then you send a QSL card that says, I talked to you on this day at this time, 5'9". My name is Adam.
Yeah, what you normally filled out is you had confirmation QSO with number, your name, your call sign, day, month, date, megahertz, where you found the guy. There's a bunch of information you can put on or not put it on.
Found you on the megahertz, yeah.
So what I would, I'm thinking this should be revived.
Well, it's quite lively, actually.
I'm getting, well, if this card's any indication.
For my birthday, Miss Mickey has made me QSL cards.
Oh, you've got QSL cards?
She's so.
I'm going to have one of our artists make one for me.
Well, I have one done personally by Miss Mickey, so
Well, I'm going to get one of the guys to do one.
All right.
And I've decided to do them in limited editions, like maybe an edition of 50. And then that would be the end of that edition. And you send out a next edition, and people would try to get the set. So they try to collect all of them.
And you can find John on D-Star Reflector 14 Charlie.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, so we had this election in Afghanistan, and it has not gone the way we want.
No.
So Abdullah.
Could you imagine? Say you're calling me on the phone, and my name is Abdullah.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you about these elections.
Okay. I'm going to call you on the Afghanistan phone because it's a little older. It's a little older school. There we go.
Yeah.
Hello, Abdullah?
Yeah, Abdullah.
Abdullah who?
No, I was going to do the Abdullah who. No, just like this.
It's Abdullah who?
Who's winning the election in Pakistan?
Abdullah.
That's me. What?
Abdullah.
What?
Really? This is bad.
Yeah, well, it would have been.
So Abdullah is not.
Abdullah.
He's not supposed to win.
No.
This is not the guy. This is not our guy.
No, of course not.
Who's our guy? Our guy, Ashraf Ghani.
Yeah,
and he's a former World Bank.
Yeah, banker, drug guy.
In fact, in the 2009 election he ran, he got like 3% of the vote. They called him Zana-e-Bush, which means George Bush's bitch. Direct translation, I believe, is wife of George W. Bush, but Zana-e-Bush, I think, is Bush's bitch. So he has now allied himself with some military dudes, and he is supposed to win, and this is not working out so well, and there's like a recount, and everyone's getting all upset, and of course, this has to be explained in the State Department, as Jen Psaki does her little show. And it's quite funny to hear how she's explaining that, clearly we have an issue with these elections.
I want to reiterate that today's announcement is of preliminary results. These results are not final or authoritative.
Because we have to go in and give them some democracy and regime change.
And may not predict the final outcome. No. There are serious allegations of fraud, which I think you referenced.
She should have said it's a computer glitch. But no, she misses the opportunity.
And they've been raised, and in our view, they haven't been sufficiently investigated.
Aha!
So right now, our focus is on encouraging a full and thorough review of all reasonable allegations of irregularities. We think that's essential.
Irregularities?
That the Afghan people have confidence in the integrity of the electoral process. We don't support any individual candidate, as you know, because we state it frequently, but we have long stated our support for a credible, transparent, and thorough process, and obviously there are additional steps that need to be taken in that regard.
I mean, this is so funny. It's just as funny as Syria, where we just created a whole new government, which we call the Syrian opposition, but it's really just these guys. We'll talk with them, and now that they're electing a new president, which we'll recognize. We just pretend like Assad doesn't exist. And I don't know. When we talk to Syria, we talk to the new guys, the new president, and of course, this is all backed up by the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, the one guy in an apartment in London somewhere. who's always, it sounds good, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights.
Well, let's look at it from a logical point of view. We got a lot of interest. We got the drug business, which we're handing back over to the guy we took out of Gitmo.
Yeah,
because we're pulling out. Yep. So they got to have some guy running that, and he has to be in our pocket. And then we also have issues with the Chiners coming in.
Hell yeah.
Because they want to take over that lithium area, which is the northern part of the country, which is apparently loaded with lithium that they can make into batteries for electric stuff. And we can't have that happen. We really can't afford to get this Abdul, whatever his name is.
Abdullah. This is not good.
No, we don't want that guy.
But I will say,
it's not going to help us.
Here's the mistake that we made. He has the better name.
Yeah, he's got a great name.
I mean, seriously?
Abdullah is a great name. It's memorable.
I can't even remember. I just told you the guy's name that we're backing, and I can't even remember his name. Ashraf Ghani.
You have to look at it on a piece of paper. You can't remember it.
It's Ashraf, Ashraf, Ghani with an H in there. So Ghani.
It's a terrible name.
Where Abdullah is
the marketing
easy.
People in this country.
I don't know. Abdullah. So nice we named him twice. I mean, come on, it's easy.
Who's that guy? Africa, they had the two names that was supposedly killed and he wasn't killed. And what was that guy's? He had a double name like that.
Coney?
No, something. Whatever the case. Yeah, no, this is Abdullah. I don't know why we couldn't have gotten him in our pocket to begin with. It's just...
that would have been the way to go. Well,
I guess the Chinese bought him off. Whatever the case is, this is going to be a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, so I presume, the president's already gotten involved. He's calling, like, hey, be called both of them. But by the way, the president's in town here in Austin today.
Oh, everybody must be giddy.
Of course, he'll be having dinner at a very important house. That's how, he's having dinner at the castle tonight. Robert Rodriguez, film director.
Have you been in the castle?
No, of course not. Robert Rodriguez, filmmaker.
Oh, Rodriguez, the filmmaker?
Yeah, he did Machete.
Yeah, I know what he did.
Yeah,
he makes schlock.
Desperado, but that was a while ago.
Schlock. Fraud in Afghanistan clip kind of brings us to a head of what we're talking about.
Hold on a second.
It's just a summary.
Yeah, no, that's good. We need this.
Claims of fraud in Afghanistan's presidential election must be thoroughly investigated. So says President Obama, who's told both candidates by phone that the country risks losing out on American aid if violence breaks out. Ashraf Ghani was announced as winner on Monday with 56% of the preliminary results. His rival Abdullah has long complained that ballot boxes were stuffed with fraudulent votes, as well as other kinds of irregularities. Now, the Afghan Electoral Commission itself has admitted to recording fraud by security forces and senior government officials.
Okay. So we stuffed the ballot box. They caught us.
And they admitted it.
Dummies.
Yeah, we did that. It's,
let's look at some pictures for a second here. Let's look at what Abdullah looks like. Let's just look at the marketing. He's a better looking
guy. He looks more like he looks more Afghani than the other guy. The other guy looks like a Western banker.
He's kind of clean cut here.
Yeah, but he's not wearing the banker suit.
I like he has this pensive look where he's clutching his chin with his fingers. Okay. And then Ashraf Ghani, let me take a look at him. It's kind of easy if you think of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghanistan. Maybe that's a easy way to remember.
Here I got a picture of Abdullah with a suit on.
He's got plenty of suits.
And he wears all kinds of outfits.
All right, so
Ashraf, he's a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking guy. He'd be a good-looking corrupt president.
If you look at Ashraf Ghani, he looks like Dick Cheney. The bald head.
There he is.
He's done TED Talks. Please.
Oh, yeah, this guy.
He has a website.
He's done TED Talks.
I think so, yeah. What is this? How to rebuild a broken... Yeah, TED Talk. He's done a TED. Well...
There he is, yes. Yeah, we got the TED Talk is here. Why don't you play a bit of it?
Well, let me get it. Hello, Afghanistan. Surely you've seen me on my TED Talk. All right, let's see. This is funny. I should have looked at this.
This guy does. He looks like the other guy. He needs that stupid hat.
You mean made of the hat made of the what is it made of? It's made of
placenta.
No, it's calf fetus or something like that. It's some disgusting crap. All right, How to Rebuild a Broken State. This is Ashraf Ghani from, what is this? July 2005. All right. Oh, did we get a commercial first from Ted? What is this? Yes. Ted, ideas worth spreading.
Yay, clap, clap, clap.
Public.
Buffering.
Buffering.
A public, do we long ago observed, is constituted through discussion and debate. If we are to call the tyranny of assumptions into question...
That's him?
Yeah.
And
it sounded like, what's her name, but Lagarde.
Of the unquestioned.
Yeah, a little bit.
Then we must be willing to subject our own assumptions.
Sounds like a woman.
To debate and discussion.
Hook this guy.
It is in this spirit that I join into a discussion
of
testosterone. One of the issues of our time, namely how to mobilize different forms of capital.
Here's what they say. Ashraf Ghani's passionate and powerful 10-minute talk, emphasizing the necessity of both economic investment and design ingenuity to rebuild broken states. And it was followed by a conversation with TED curator Chris Anderson on the future of Afghanistan. Oh, man. So everybody's in on this guy.
I was watching this political thing, and I'm not going to be too, get into this too much, but I just want to mention it. I mean, this guy, for one thing, I swear to God, when I first heard him, I thought he was being introduced by Lagarde. He sounds like a woman. He's dead, which I could see why they call him Bush's bitch.
Yeah. Bush's bitch.
He's got a womanly voice.
Very descriptive, that Afghani slang.
So I'm listening to this political thing that I pointed out to some people on Twitter. There's a Politico, he had a tech conference or some crap. They didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah, phones.
And for at least the first 5 minutes, I swear to God, I thought it was Rachel Maddow was the guy, the moderator. It sounded just like her with the same cadence, same voice, same pitch, same everything. And it was some guy. And I think this has to do with our food supply.
Low T.
Yeah, but is it low T in a 20-year-old?
Who knows?
Anyway, I just found it disturbing.
I'm watching a replay of this C-SPAN thing on NSA surveillance, and I just wanted to play how C-SPAN always has an introduction. It's like a 3-hour deal.
This will be 30 minutes.
Now a discussion on NSA surveillance, cybersecurity, and internet freedom. We'll hear from Bruce Schneier.
Internet freedom. Okay.
Got a couple of clips about that.
About internet freedom. Did you see this thing? Did you watch this NSA?
I know. I figured you were watching it. I was busy dealing with the email, getting 32% return.
Yeah.
So I got Michael Kops was on C-SPAN. And he has...
Who is he again?
He used to be an FCC... He's a blowhard. He used to be an FCC commissioner. Now he's with Common Cause, and he's a, just a blowhard. But he was on talking about all the net neutrality and all the rest of it. And I got two kind of semi-long clips from him, but they're very interesting. He thinks he talks about deregulation, about the phone companies taking over too much of the business, and the government's got to get involved. We got to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
And he also talks
for your internet freedom, to protect your internet freedom,
internet freedom through government involvement. And also he talks about political ads. So I have these two clips, and I want to play them because I think if you got anything from that NSA deal, this might work as a segue. Maybe not.
Okay.
But play this one, and this is Michael Kopp's irony of deregulation, and he kind of misses his own point.
So here in Colorado and in other states, legislatures are pushing to completely deregulate the telephone industry, despite the evidence that in California, for example, prices went up over 250% in just a few years after deregulation. I just want to ask you your take on this argument pushed by companies like CenturyLink that consumers don't need oversight from the Public Utilities Commission or the FCC when it comes to our communications needs.
So these companies basically want market power with no public oversight. And if that's not a prescription for market control and gatekeeping power, I don't know what is. But this has been happening all over the United States of America. For example, there are now 19 or 20 states where laws like this have been passed that prohibit municipal broadband. So say Verizon or Comcast or AT&T maybe doesn't want to build in a certain rural town, but they don't want anybody else in there either. So they go to the state legislature, and in all of these states, they pass laws either making it impossible or downright difficult to do that. So you're leaving whole communities behind in the broadband age and the internet age, and who knows if those companies won't be back until they think they can make a buck there and make a dollar there. And that story has gone largely unreported until recently because there's so much less state news coverage.
Excuse me, except for on the No Agenda show.
State house coverage than there used to be because of the consolidation of media, and it's all one big set of problems. You know, these aren't separable problems, broadband versus broadcast, new media versus old media, choose one or the other. We live in one big communications ecosystem. Part of the traditional media is broken, needs to be fixed, but we also have to figure out where we're going with new media and the future of the internet and all the rest. So we need to report those stories. I don't think most Americans, if they really knew the power that something like the American Legislative Council had to not dictate, but to really advocate in behalf of and push these ads to passage through their lobbying power. I think most people, if they knew how extensive that was, probably wouldn't stand for it.
Okay, so that's interesting. And this is the part I didn't know. So we have, of course, reported on these municipal regulations, which is completely anti-competitive. And if the people even know, the ones in the know, or of course in city councils, they're the a-holes making this happen and probably taking bribes, free broadband to the schools, to the government buildings, to their offices, God knows what. But this was set up by, is this Alec? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
So those guys, they're behind assholes. It? What a douche buckets. Wow, I didn't realize it was structural. Oh, well, of course I should have.
Either until he said that. But here's what's funny about it. He was talking about deregulation being a bad thing. This is actually a form of regulation that he's bitching about. And because this regulation, when you pass a law that says you can't do something, this is not deregulation in the least. Deregulation means it's wide open. You should be able to put municipal broadband in if you like it.
Misnomer.
So he misses his own irony of this complaining. But there's two things to this. That means he just doesn't figure out. He doesn't understand the mechanism. But this was interesting to me too. That Alec is behind these laws. Because if you're some little country bumpkin out in the, but you know, or not even a bumpkin, you own a huge cattle ranch and you're out in the middle of nowhere, Wyoming, and just outside of a city limit that could have municipal broadband and could be sending you a signal, and you could get high speed internet, and you can't because the state passed a law saying that no.
Is it states? Is it states or is it municipalities?
He said state.
Interesting. Well, this is being pushed for. As we know, we read that document from the Council of Mayors, who also want to push for this no municipal broadband. Don't let the citizens get together and do a mesh network. No.
All part of the same thing.
Can't have that.
Why? Does anybody come up to these guys and say why?
No, because people
why
don't.
Not?
John, of course not. Because what's happening, all people hear is, I can't get my Netflix because Comcast is evil. That's all they know.
Neutrality.
That's net neutrality. That's all that people know. And everyone's all in on this. It's pathetic. People do not take the time to investigate anymore. Maybe it's never been that way. I don't know. Maybe I am.
No, it's never been that way. Our show is one of the. What disappoints me is that the media is supposed to at least give people a clue about a lot of this stuff.
We wouldn't be around if the media was doing their job. We wouldn't be necessary.
We wouldn't be doing the show.
Yeah.
The media,
and I would happily be producing entertainment segments with Lindsay Lohan and Dave Stewart.
The media has given up. They've just given up, or they've been sidetracked, or like he says, they don't report on state issues anymore. What do they report on? There's a lot of entertainment news that's crap. That's a lot of the resources go to that. The other stuff is just what press release came in that I can read or that I can regurgitate. I don't know. It's just interesting to me that this has happened. I'm not complaining completely.
This is not news, I'm sure. This is not like something.
No, it's been getting worse, though.
Okay, before you do that, then let's just take it to the test. Let's look at news.google.com top stories. Germany orders U.S. intelligence chief out of country. So there's your Deutschland blitzkrieg.
Alles, yeah, we already got that.
Palestinian death toll rises to 77 as Israel hits Gaza. And then Georgia case reopened after alleged prostitute accused in yacht death Google executive. Amazon allowed kids to spend millions on in-app purchases. Now you have my attention. Matthew McConaughey and other stars react to the 2014 Emmy nominations. Everybody, what are you talking about? Screw the war.
And now, back to real news.
Who is nominated? Who's nominated?
Yeah, who's nominated?
Well, let's find out. I think that, HBO has 19,000 nominations, but don't forget Netflix because the broadband guys are coming up quick. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can't see my Netflix without buffering. Screw those guys. What? Middle East, what? What?
Where's that?
What? Actress Kerry Washington attends the 7th annual Essence Black Women in Hollywood luncheon in Beverly Hills. What is that there for? That's dumb. McConaughey nominated for lead actor in True Detective.
What about Woody?
No, he's not. Hey, why are you even asking me this?
Well, I'm looking at, okay, you're looking at that news. I look at MSN's homepage. They got a bunch of news stories. Sterling calls wife pig. Will sue NBA until he dies.
Oh, wow. This is great. This is really good. Well, that's
Bergdahl,
important.
This is a good one. Bergdahl, you know Bergdahl.
Yeah.
Bergdahl pictured with Taliban leader, courtesy of NBC News. There's a picture of Bergdahl smiling with some Taliban guy. Guilty as charged. Guilty in the eyes of the public. All right, enough of that. I want to play the second thing, which is one of my kind of theses about why we're never going to get any sort of
packet equality.
Why we're never going to get any sort of campaign finance reform. Because the media, which is the influential number one influence in the world,
they take all the money.
They take all the money, and they're not going to give up that money and go along with these programs. But we listen to Michael Copps again, going on and on about, naively, I might add, going on and on about what's needed. And then when he discusses this disclosure thing, I'm going to ask you a question after this is over.
So I'm glad you mentioned political ads. When you were in the studio with us about a year ago, we talked about the need for disclosure of all this ad spending on broadcast during elections. Now, in the past year, we haven't seen the FCC suddenly take the reins like they could and really force this disclosure. But you were just on NPR talking about this.
Yeah, I was. Went over 400 stations just this past week. There's tremendous interest in Congress. When the new chairman of the FCC was nominated and went up for his confirmation hearing, this issue came up in a rather controversial fashion, but it came up. There is support for it. What we're talking about here are those ads that we're subjected to at home that say, this message brought to you by citizens for Purple Mountain Majesties and Amber Ways of Grain, and it might be a chemical company dumping sludge into the ocean or something like. You don't know because that's all you know. And what Section 317 of the Communications Statute, going back a long, long way, requires, never been enforced, is that you are told who is actually sponsoring an ad. So I want them to update the rules. You don't have to pass a law. You don't have to wait for the president to introduce anything. You don't have to wait for Congress to pass a law they're not going to pass. The law is on the books. The FCC can update the rules and have a requirement in place long before the 2016 elections. If they'd really get off their duff, they could do it before the 2014 elections, so that when you saw those ads, you'd know who was trying to buy your vote or persuade you to vote, and it might change your perspective a little bit on the message that they're trying to drill into your brain.
Okay, I got a question.
Oh, hold on a second then.
Ask Adam, yeah.
All right.
So he doesn't want the sponsored by whatever the name of the NGO or whatever the group is. Mm-hmm. He wants who's really behind. Now, this is one of the specialties of yours. I say I can do it, but you really like to do it, which is to dig and dig and dig until you find out who's behind it, because it's usually a chain. It's like one of those TV shows, one of those mysteries that are on television where they find out this company is owned by another company. There's an umbrella company, and there's a company that owns that, and there's a company that owns the umbrella company, and there's a company, and then you find some guy at the end that happens to be the criminal.
Right.
Now,
and by the way, you know what the answer always is. Don't you? Oh, come on. Of course you know the answer.
Koch brothers!
Koch brothers, right. Always the Koch brothers.
Or Soros on the other side.
Yeah.
It's always Soros or the Koch brothers. Right. But this is so non-trivial. This is not, to get to the Koch brothers through some of these organizations is like, It's almost impossible. And who are you to say? I'm an organization. I'm an NGO called Americans for Red Dogs, and I get money from all kinds of people.
Yeah, which you don't have to report. You don't have to report it. It's not,
and I don't have to report it. Well, how do you get to the real? You can't do it. This is idealistic bull crap.
Yes.
If I'm the Americans for Red Dogs, that's the only thing you can prove. You can't prove the Koch brothers gave me money.
Hey, you know what?
It can't be done.
If the Koch brothers gave us money, I'd be dancing in the streets.
Yeah, well, the Koch brothers don't even know.
Bring it on, Koch brothers.
So this is nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be the FCC is not going to do anything. I don't even know why people keep talking about it.
Well, then let's not.
I've stopped.
All right. Let us go to the war on men. This is a little after jerk of the Hobby Lobby case. As you know now, of course, we're desperately trying to figure out how to pay for this, even though we know that it's all in the insurance companies' in their agreement that they have to pay. And obviously, when the Supreme Court votes for your side, you're great, and these people have vision. And when they vote against you, then they're well, Harry Reid sums it up.
You know, we have so much to do this month, but the one thing we're going to do during this work period, sooner rather than later, is to ensure that women's lives are not determined by virtue of 5 white men.
The Supreme Court is now 5 white men. I mean, that's pretty low. That is pretty low.
What does he want instead?
Wait, I don't know. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's pandering to the base. He wants to get his pandering.
He's a panderer. This guy's horrible.
Panderer, I tell you.
You know, I'm surprised he doesn't blame the Koch brothers.
Not in that.
I've never heard him blame the Koch brothers.
Not in that clip. Actually, it's the 5 white Koch brothers. So Noodleman was on the Hill. You know her as Newman. Newman. Kagan. And of course, now we're still all over Russia because of obviously. And it was interesting. Is it Corker? Is it Bob Corker? Is it?
Yeah. Bob Corker.
It was kind of cool. He was just basically calling Noodleman out, saying, "You're full of crap." Sanctions, because there's always we're doing some sanctions. We have category sanctions or industry selective sanctions, but nothing's really actually happening other than just a lot of yelling. And he kind of called Noodleman to it, and it was kind of funny to watch.
As President Obama has said, we will judge Russia by its actions, not by its words. The U.S. and Europe have imposed repeated rounds of sanctions to increase the cost Russia pays for its choices.
Oh, that's right. Increase the cost. That's right. Increase the cost.
And as you quoted, Mr. Chairman, we are ready to impose more costs, including targeted sector-specific sanctions, very soon if Russia does not decisively change course and break its support for separatists.
And give us Snowden.
I know that we have some people here that are very committed public servants that I respect, but I have to say sometimes I'm embarrassed for you as you constantly talk about sanctions, and yet candidly we never see them put in place. I know it has to be very frustrating, though, to continue to wake up in the mornings and look in the mirror and practice talking tough, but know that nothing's going to happen.
That's pretty bad. Hey, you practiced that this morning in front of the mirror and know that nothing's happening because you're full of crap.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I certainly don't disagree with your assessment that we have not seen progress on any of the areas that I outlined. We are continuing the conversation with the Europeans about the right moment for sanctions. There was a moment where we had 40,000 Russian troops ringing the border. We threatened sanctions and those troops moved back.
That is absolutely untrue. That is absolutely untrue. They stayed on the border weeks and weeks and weeks afterward, and they kept saying they were moving away, and our NATO friends kept saying they're not moving away. That is absolutely not true, what you just said.
There was a moment when we had 40,000 combat units ready to move. A lot of them moved back, but you're not wrong that we have a significant number returned.
Wow. You're not wrong, though. Humana.
Wow.
Yeah, liar.
Wow.
She lie.
Liar.
She lie. Now, this Ukraine situation, of course, the focus is completely gone. I think we're more interested in, $3.5 billion needed to stop the surge of illegal children, whatever. I don't know, but what's going on is the scripts are intermingling, and of course, we don't care really about Putin anymore at the moment, at least. However, does not stop the fact that in eastern Ukraine, we have people dying and being killed by Ukrainians, and this is that person you just heard, Victoria Nuland, put that regime in place. We know that because she said so in the telephone call where she said, F the EU. And these people are now killing Ukrainians. This was not happening before Noodleman started handing out the pretzels. Not like this. And this is brought up in the Jen Psaki show in State Department by an RT journalist, I will say, which is done specifically to put her on the spot. I have not seen this show up on RT, so I don't know if they used it. But this journalist, this woman holds up pictures, which you can find on the webs, of citizens killed, maimed, ripped apart, bombed to shreds. And she says, how is this possible that that America is all behind this Kiev, this government which is doing this? Can't you say, hey, enough, this is not okay? How would you answer this, John, if you were coaching Jen Psaki and someone confronted you with civilians being killed by a government that your boss put in place?
I would say that these pictures are not verified. These could be fake. They could be photoshopped. We don't believe this is actually going on to this extreme. The information we have from reliable sources indicates that a lot of this is not true.
Oh, you're hired. Because someone gave her some bad advice.
But it seems that you are downplaying, honestly, downplaying the scale of the crisis there. These are just, that's the reason why I would show these pictures. These are shots of civilians blown to pieces in their homes and their backyards, in the village of, in the village in eastern Ukraine last week. And Kiev ordered these killings, nobody else. Well, what does the U.S. do to stop Kiev from doing it? From the village of Kondrashovka.
Well, you finished. Go ahead. I'm letting you finish your question.
Yes,
a little defensive. Go ahead, finish. Go ahead. I'll wait for you to finish.
Sorry, these are gruesome pictures.
To be clear, on the ground, the reports that we've seen and the vast majority of people who are reporting from the ground report that the Russian-backed separatists are the ones who are not only engaged in violence and efforts to take over buildings and attack people and innocent civilians. And they have no place doing that in a country that's a sovereign country like Ukraine. So that's
these people died in airstrikes ordered by Kiev, not by Russia, not by the separatists.
The government of Ukraine is defending the country of Ukraine, and I think they have every right to do that, as does the international community.
And these people have right to live, don't they?
Well, I think the people of Ukraine have the right to live in peace and security without Russian-backed separatists attacking their homes and going into buildings. And I think that's where the root cause of this is, and we shouldn't forget that fact.
Putin! So don't even deny that it's happening. Just say, "Oh, Putin."
Wow, that sucked. That stunk.
It stunk, but it's also pathetic. And of course,
no, the situation's pathetic, but their response was pathetic too.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're not. This is the neocons have taken over the Obama State Department. It's hilarious.
Well, not really. I mean, President Obama is, having.
He seems to be oblivious to this.
I don't think he cares.
What kind of meetings does they have with him? They just lie to him in those meetings and they don't let him watch television?
I don't think he cares. I really don't.
He's probably, you're right, he's short-termer.
The whole, forget about it. Given up, move on. Just everywhere you go, say, well, I'll give you an example. Then we'll take a little break. Just say whatever we tell you, just say it. So here we go. This is the immigration crisis, which is some trumped up bullcrap crisis. Okay, all of a sudden it's really important. We've got, kids, we got videos, just whatever you do, just distract from everything else. Here's the president in 2011 in Texas talking about immigration and Congress and what can be done.
Sometimes when I talk to immigration advocates, they wish I could just bypass Congress and change the law myself. But that's not how democracy works.
Now, 2014 in Texas.
Today, I'm beginning a new effort to fix as much of our immigration system as I can on my own.
Oh, okay.
Without Congress.
What? What?
That's a good double.
Yeah.
Did you get that from someplace else?
I was prompted to do it. Let's put it that way. I had to clip it myself, but it was an obvious giveaway.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
That's how these guys operate.
It's really crazy. Let's take a little break for a second, John. We got plenty to do in a moment.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
You have a few people to thank for show 633, and we're going to thank them, starting with Achim Trumpler in Hamburg, Deutschland, 147.
Hamburg.
Daily commuting is so much more bearable since I listened to your show.
Oh.
Which I think is true with a lot of people. We played the Deutschland Blitzkrieg earlier, and we will play it again before the show's over.
Really?
C-Squared Productions came in with $123.33. I don't see any comment from them. Maxwell Finn, $111.11 from Seattle, Washington.
Still trying to reopen the club, but it's not going to happen.
Well, you can keep trying. Thomas Stanley, $100 in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Again, it's another good note about his daily dose of reality. We'll give us some karma at the end of our listing here.
But we're not daily.
He probably, if you have a short commute, we are.
Oh, okay.
You listen to a half hour and then another half hour. Maybe he listens to us twice. Some people do. One guy listens to us 4 times.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Alan Lowe in Troutville, Virginia, $100. Dave Carey, $99.05 in Clermont, Florida.
And he will
he's got this is he's going to be the Sir Dingaling.
Knight of the I-4 corridor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, since he's a knight, he did send some mail. I will take a look at that. Dave Carey, on the first anniversary of my first donation, I have to become knight with today's contribution. I want to thank you for an amazing year, and I'm excited to see what the future brings. Go Hillary 2016. I care only about the future of the show, not so much of the empire.
Well, that's
true. It's all right with that.
Pocahontas will be fine. We'll have a lot of fun with her, too.
Yeah, she won't be as much fun because there's no bill and there's all these things that could happen. Let this be a lesson to you douchebags and boners out there. You can become a knight over a year's time and not break the bank. And you can take that to the bank. And he's Sir Dingaling. And thanks for hitting me in the mouth. To the bank. Mofos. He finishes with this little mofos thing, which we haven't played for a while. Line it up. Richard Leiter in Lincoln, Nebraska, 7912. This is for his grandson Harrison's birthday, and we will put and it's on the list. And also, we got some job karma coming at the end. Christian Jacobs,
mofo.
There we go.
Christian Jacobson, Chard, is next to Kale in Somerset, UK, 7777. Bradley Selsor in Lagrange, Kentucky, 7777. Isn't there some sort of a 77?
No, it's a sack of sevens. It's still a valid donation, but no, 7373 is a ham.
Oh, that's where you get the BB
thing. Yeah, you do. I'll do the sound effects. You do the jokes. Okay.
Sam Lung in Toronto, Ontario, 7707007. Dropped a 0. Also, it gets you a 3, by the way. He's wishing you job karma for finding a new house. Kosti Ranki in Kirkkonummi in Finland, 7414, which is the celebration of the United States' 4th of July, along with Brent Dombrowski in Colorado Springs, Colorado, also 7414. Barry Coggins in San Antonio, Texas, $71. Jerry Johnson in Spokane Valley, Washington, which is, hold on, 69. The only one that we've had for a while. Brian Warden.
That stuff is so dead, man. That's so dead. It's so dead. So dead.
It's dead. Brian Warden in Downs, Illinois, 5610, double nickels on the dime, and also Audrey and Dwyer. In Bryan, Texas, right up the street from you, double nickels on the dime. Captain K in Owen, South Australia. George Oberhofer, that's $53, and George Oberhofer, $50.33 in Jackson, New Jersey. The rest of these are $50 donations from the following people. Jason Fortune in Geneva, Illinois. Paul Vella, our buddy in Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire in UK. Antonio McMullen in $50. Then parts unknown. David Pete in Aubrey, Texas, which I don't even know where that is. Do you know?
Right up the road.
Right up the road. Aubrey, Texas. Then we have Jan van der Laan.
Jan van der Laan.
Jan van der Laan in Assen.
Drenthe.
Holland.
Yep.
Eric Dutro in Flint, Michigan, a very interesting place. Steve Winslow in Bristol, UK. And finally, our buddy Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Sir Mark Tanner in Whittier, California. That concludes our donators above $50 for show 633. We want to thank them and everyone else who came in at lesser amounts. And remind you that we do have a show on Sunday. Dvorak.org/ANA would be the place to go to help us out and keep this show on the
road.
Down on the road.
On the rails.
Should go on the road. On the rails.
It's going to go on the road. And, of course, we have our general karma, job karma, which everybody can use these days.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
And as I get into the birthday list, we have a birthday repair request, which I did want to honor. John Adam, this is from Rich Leiter. A few days ago, I sent a donation for $79.14 with a request for a birthday shout-out for my 2-year-old grandson, Harrison, who I said turned 2 on July 9th, 2014. Now, get this, John. You'll like this because you're a granddaddy. Turns out I'm wrong about the date, and my daughter reamed me out.
Yeah, I would be that one.
Oh, this is horrible.
I would be that guy. That's why I put all these dates in Google Calendar.
He actually turns 2 on July 10th. So please, I know it's confusing, but I appreciate your helping keep peace in the family. I initially suggested we change Harry's birthday to the 9th, but my daughter was not amused. Hey, man, we understand, so I'm very happy to accommodate. No problemo. Thank you all very much, of course. Also, everyone who donates lesser amounts under the 50, which is usually to be kept anonymous, but a lot of these are, of course, for monthly donate. Something just hit me. I got a note from Grand Duke David Foley, and he wanted a podcast license, and I haven't done it yet. And would you help remind me? I feel stupid now. That's our 33 monthly donation. Thank you all very much. It's highly appreciated, and we will be doing a show on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
So, of course, we have that rectification from Rich for his grandson Harold. Also, a happy birthday to his lovely no agenda loving wife Wendy, whose birthday was on June 29th. Rich, man, you got to get one of those John C. Dvorak official Google Calendar things. It's lifesaver, trust me. Michael Shepard is 24 today. Nick Johannes was 31 on June 27th, and we have Jay Dvorak. No longer a teenager, turning 20 today. Happy birthday from your papa and your mama, and they're very happy that you made it through your teens without being a horrible person. And I will say happy birthday to the lovely Miss Mickey, celebrating in Mexico. Lots of love from all your friends here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's actually Jay's birthday tomorrow, but that's fine.
I'm sorry.
She doesn't listen to the show.
And happy belated birthday to Saab Swiss, of course, who we talked about July 4th. She doesn't listen to the show? My daughter doesn't listen either.
What?
My daughter doesn't listen either.
No, I think we're a-holes.
No, not at all. No, she actually, she's living in Europe, and she'll say, "Oh, Dad, I'm so happy that you told me what to look out for with this global warming crap." She said, because it's scary the way they make it sound. But, we're going to have horrible storms, and we're all going to die, and we're living under, on 7 feet under sea level. And she said, but I know that it's not true because, I know you. But then she says, but I'm still pissed that you made me drink water out of the rain barrel instead of. Yeah, in London, I said, you shouldn't be drinking that water. It's full of crap. He said, drink it out of here. I caught some rainwater. She didn't. To this day, she's still angry about that. She doesn't.
Why? Did it make her sick?
She didn't think it was cool. She said, this is dumb.
Why is it dumb? It's perfectly good water, generally speaking.
I'm just telling you.
You're going through a pollution cloud, but rainwater generally clears the air, and then all the rainwater is pretty tasty. It's got a lot of natural.
She's also mad about the time that I served her lamb and told her it was steak. These are things that kids hold on to for a long time.
If you get some really mild lamb, it often tastes like steak.
Right. It was just a texture thing. It was kids when they're young, they're nutty about stuff. Like, I can't eat lamb. Okay, whatever. And then, her mom was out, and I cooked dinner, and I made lamb chops.
And she liked it.
She liked it.
What it was.
And then she got a stool to climb up to the stove to look into the pan, and she went, "You served me lamb."
She couldn't tell by the smell.
No, because I did a great job. It was really perfect. She was like, "Is this lamb?" "No, it's nice beef." "Okay, tastes good, Daddy." But she didn't trust me. It's kids.
Well, at least she's skeptical. That's a good thing.
Yes. But she won't listen to the show. God forbid. You don't want to care, but your parents, it's like, you don't even want to talk to your parents after a while.
Yeah, let alone listen to them blather on about world politics when there's good celebrity gossip that they can pay attention to.
It's bad enough when...
So Jay's over here cleaning in my office.
Right, as we speak?
Not as we speak, yesterday. And so I had that National Enquirer sitting down on the thing that has the Kate Gosling's House of Horrors, and I'm not Chelsea's real dad.
Right.
But she picks it up and she starts going through it page by page, and she's engrossed with these articles.
But she was reading about the Kate Gosling.
Yes, exactly. So I guess they got the right idea.
Those guys know what to do, man.
She's reading it, and she says, "Oh, she says, look at this one. Yeah, this is like a discussion. Look at this one of these her edicts. Don't leave the television on when nobody's watching it." What's so bad about that? I don't see how that's makes her a horrible mom because she wants the television turned off.
All right, enough. Oh, by the way, Nick Johannes, happy birthday from, we added him to the list. I put it in the wrong place. From Mary. The donation didn't come through. All right. We have Andrew Lemessony becomes a baron today, and we have 2 knightings, so if you can grab your blade.
There it comes.
Perfect. Dave Carey, step forward, and Sab Swiss, come on down. Both of you are about to enter. Oh, also, Anthony Colangelo. My goodness, we have 3 today. Gentlemen, for your contributions to the best podcast in the universe, I hereby pronounce thee Sir Dingaling, Knight of the I-4 Corridor, Sir Anthony, and Black Knight, Sir Sab Swiss, Knight of the Zurich Highlands. For you, we've got cannabis and Cabernet, hot librarians and Jaeger bombs, hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay, geishas and sake. Or if you want, we've got mutton and mead. And please go to noagendanation.com/rings. Pick up your ring. It's well-deserved. I think you now get a confirmation email. There was an issue with that. Eric's working on fixing that. So if you don't get it immediately, it will happen. And the rings do go out as quickly as possible. And we highly appreciate your courage and your contribution to the show. None of this could be discussed or talked about in any manner. First of all, if you're a journalist, investigative journalist, you're busy. You're busy doing appearances, meeting with sponsors. Believe me, the journalists have to do this, particularly the people who are doing the news, reading the news. There's really no time to actually do any work. Now, something happened yesterday, or over the course of the past 2 days, which was very peculiar, and I picked up on something which I have not seen anyone talk about. And this is Glenn Greenwald Dunraff, who promised us fireworks and a huge finale as a part of his book and The Intercept, which finally now has released another news story on his on his blog, his $250 million blog, WordPress blog. And it is a turd. It is a total news turd, complete fail. He's doing his best to talk to everybody to hype it up, and it needs analysis. And so there's a couple of interviews that he did. The real turd is Shep Smith. Now it's funny because here's two gay guys talking to each other, and it's a little like, well, you ran well, not I don't want to generalize, but yeah. And essentially, Shep Smith says, this is a turd, man. What was up with this big thing? And then, in case you didn't know what the story is, and it's kind of important, I'll give you the setup. Glenn Greenwald Unwrapped has now released a document that in some way kind of shows that the NSA was eavesdropping on email from what he calls 5 Muslim American leaders. And that is the headline. And I think the leaders thing is somewhat misleading. And it's kind of like, what? This is your fireworks? What? Now let's listen to this, to Shep Smith calling him out as it being a turd story.
Glenn Greenwald joins us now. He broke the news on his website, The Intercept. He's also...
I love it. His website. That's where it starts. Wow, a website.
Yeah, good.
Your website.
Glenn Greenwald joins us now. He broke the news on his website, The Intercept. He's also the author of the book, No Place to Hide, Edward Snowden, the NSA, and the U.S. surveillance state. Ed was
you were on the program with us, a couple of weeks ago, and then this got delayed a little bit, and you were talking bombshells and fireworks and all that. Glenn, to be quite frank, in today's news cycle, this is being played below President Obama being offered a puff pass in Colorado. I mean, was there more and I'm missing it?
It's gotten a lot of play. We just posted it last night at midnight. The New York Times has a very long article on it.
Long article? They got a long article?
Look, the fact is that there are people who look at the targets and will think, oh, that's only Muslims, and even though they're my fellow Americans, I'm not really bothered by it.
This is hey, take that, Shep. What, you don't care about Muslims, brother?
I think sometimes that's part of it, but I think the implications are sinking in nicely.
Are there more names? Are there more people? Were there some who wouldn't cooperate? Or help me understand the bigger picture.
Yeah, this is a really hard story to report. For one thing, we wanted to make sure that anybody that we reported, we were very comfortable that we weren't, blowing a legitimate ongoing investigation. And at the same time, a lot of people did not want to be publicly identified as being targets of the FBI or the NSA for fear of the stigma that it would produce.
This is very interesting. Oh, now there's stigma, and now you're protecting people all of a sudden because they didn't want to cooperate? Very interesting.
And we wanted to honor people's wishes in that regard and not drag them unwittingly into the public light, especially if they were private individuals. So all of these 5 were people who were willing to come forward and speak out. We felt like they were very illustrative cases. 5 is a manageable number to report, and our investigation into this list is definitely ongoing.
Is this the finale? Is there more we're going to learn from the Snowden documents?
In other words, yawn, what?
Totally.
And listen to Greenwald come back.
Or is this the finish?
No, I have stories that are already written, in fact, that still will be published.
Publish them.
No. That's the worst thing you can say. I have stories I've already written, but I'm not publishing them just yet. And you certainly won't be getting the exclusive anymore, Shep Smith.
Journalists from around the world are working with us on the archive. There's definitely a lot of more big stories to come. But for me, this fills in a really important part of the picture, which is putting a human face on how we all know that the Obama administration is bulk surveilling all of us. But this puts a human face on the kinds of dangers that can be presented to dissidents or people who criticize the government from the most invasive forms of surveillance. So it's important, but not the last.
Okay. Now, so it's a dud from a news perspective. If he could only have said the NSA was eavesdropping on Duck Dynasty or anything of that ilk, or Kate Gosselin,
anything,
it would have been fabulous. But no, he has none of that. And what's worse is this story is really only slamming the Bush administration.
The government under President George W. Bush allegedly began monitoring the American Muslims soon after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. In some instances, targets included members of the president's own party. Faisal Gill was a GOP operative and served in the Department of Homeland Security under Bush. The spying allegedly continued through 2008. In a joint statement, the Department of Justice and the Director of National Intelligence say the government values privacy just as much as national security, and that it's entirely false that U.S. intelligence agencies conduct electronic surveillance of political, religious, or activist figures solely because they disagree with public policies or criticize the government.
So yes.
Well, I was going to say a couple of things. One, you expect if you're in the government at the level of national security, anything, you have to assume that they're looking at everything you do. I mean, that just makes sense
we're going to get to that.
Now, the second part is, of course, I don't know if you read this, but I don't know what the deal is with Paul Carr, the guy that the Pando Daily brought over.
Yeah, I read that.
And Carr, of course, has got something about Greenwald.
Stick up his ass about Greenwald, yeah.
And but it's great because it keeps bringing up the obvious.
But that's not. You tell me the obvious, but that's not the real kicker. What's the obvious?
The obvious in this case is that Greenwald only brought this up because it condemns the Bush administration. Right. He will not say anything bad about the Obama administration because Omidar is part of the Obama administration, and then it's implied that Omidar has Greenwald on his payroll to shut him up because he's all part of the whole Obama deal.
Drive My Car is his name. Pierre Drive My Car.
Yeah, I don't use that.
Well, yes, that's the obvious, but that is not the kicker. Now, so whenever this happens, the way it works in media land is they're looking for something to grab onto. What can we make of this turd to dress it up and make it into something that we can shout a headline? And they've only got one thing, and that's very sad for Glenn Greenwald, Don Raff, because it's just not important in the whole story.
Well, so let me just correct a couple things in your report and in one of your questions. The list does talk about spying between 2002 and 2008, but the spying in question on these individuals who are in front of you and also the other three we named took place 2006, 2007, 2008. So in the case of Faisal, for example, it was many years after he was ever at the council. It was actually during a time that he was the Republican nominee for the House of Delegates seat in Virginia. And so, the question that you asked him, well, what about these clients that you've represented? There are all sorts of people who represent highly questionable foreign governments. Bob Livingston, the former House Speaker, represented Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Joe Trippi represents the government of Bahrain. Lanny Davis represents virtually every tyrant on the planet. None of those people who are similarly situated or who have greater contacts and who aren't Muslim seem to be on this list. And that's the reason that I think it raises the suspicion, along with documents like the one we published, where the FBI on a FISA form for a sample is writing things like Mohammed Raghead and using ethnic slurs against Arabs and Muslims, documents we've seen before from the FBI and the NSA, raising further questions about what the motive is.
So it's so dumb.
Mohammed Raghead?
It's so dumb that the only thing that Greenwald could turn this into, because he got called back or whatever, he was told to shut up. You're right, of course, by Drive My Car, who was told to shut up by the administration, no doubt, is they hate Muslims. They call them ragheads, towel heads. It's horrible. I can't believe this. And that's the only thing the administration is responding to, saying, well, we have to have sensitivity training. This is not good. But here's the kicker, John.
I'm waiting.
Who are these people? Do you remember?
Oh, okay.
Do you remember when there was a letter sent by the Senate Security Committee? Unfortunately, Bachmann was in there. Of course, she whatever she does is immediately deemed a nut job, about high-level Department of Homeland Security consultants who had high-level security clearance.
Oh, right.
These are these guys. Nihad Awad is the executive director of CAIR, C-A-I-R, the Council on American Islamic Relations, who were indicted as being a front to raise money for Hamas.
Right.
And this is 2012 that this has been taking place. These are the people that they've been going after, and not a single person is mentioning this. And this guy, Faisal, who did not disclose everything. I researched Faisal Gill. He did not disclose that he had worked for the American Muslim Council before he took his job at DHS. And this is well documented that he did not disclose it, and that's why it became a problem, and that's why the Senate Security Council brought this up in a letter and said, "Hey, we got to be careful with this because this is Muslim Brotherhood stuff." And they even came up with a bill, I think there's a bill now to make the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist group. This is when it was all Muslim Brotherhood, and these people are all related to the Muslim Brotherhood, and now somehow they're getting put up as, they were being called ragheads in the Bush administration. What is going on? Why is no one making this connection?
You work for the Department of Homeland Security. You know that this nation is under constant threat. You, of all people, must understand sometimes investigators look in places and they don't find anything, but it's important for them to look.
Absolutely. I have no problem with surveillance. Surveillance needs to happen, but there has to be a reason for it. There has to be at least something in my background that would lead someone to believe that, okay, this person should be suspected of some questionable activities. I work for the American Muslim Council, and after that, I obtained my security clearance. So clearly all that was disclosed, and it was proven that it was disclosed. There is just nothing there in my background. And the other thing I would just say, lastly, is the FISA court has a very high success rate. I think it's like 99.6% or something ridiculous like that. If you were to go to any county in the United States and look at the success rate for obtaining a search warrant for any crime, breaking and entering, robbery, it would not be that high. So clearly there is something wrong with the process.
And just very briefly, you think it was because you're Muslim?
I can't think of any other reason.
Absolutely.
No other reason.
Yeah, you hate Muslims. So this is very strange, and I do not understand why Jake Tapper, why Shep Smith, anyway, all of no one is bringing this up and saying, "Hey, wait a minute, aren't you the guy that that the Senate was going after because they didn't know what your background was, Muslim Brotherhood? What is this, John? Why is no one bringing that up? Is this to make these guys good, or there's something going on here?"
You caught me flat-footed because I don't know why they haven't brought any of this up.
There's something nefarious about this.
There's something amiss.
So first of all, let's just analyze this in real time. So there's no mention of all of this stuff that was happening during the Obama years. And by the way, it's a perfect opportunity to slam Bachmann or any other Republicans. It's perfect. It seems like a slam dunk, but they're not doing that. Instead, they're saying, well, it's just because you're Muslim and you're Muslim American. It's too bad Casey Kasem's dead, because usually they roll him out. It's like, I'm an American first before I'm a Muslim. No one is saying anything about this. And this was big. This is only a year and a half, 2 years ago. This was a big deal, and the connection to the Muslim Brotherhood and this Nihad Awad guy.
Well, okay, here's one possibility. With Abedin or whatever her name
Huma
is.
Abedin, yes.
Abedin and her connection to the Muslim Brotherhood through relations, and her insight into the White House at some point, because she's got connections. She's probably friend. I think if you look deep enough, I bet you there's a Valerie Jarrett connection, and I think they've decided to hush this up because it's possible that they're still looking into something that's going on now with some people that are currently working within the White House or around the White House or have some connection to it. And they've decided to just not discuss it because either they're in bed with the Muslim Brotherhood at that level, which is always possible, or they just don't want to talk. They want to keep a lid on it because there may be some things, they're investigating something that needs further investigation, so they're just going to let it slide.
Well,
so one of the two. I don't see a third possibility.
I guess it may be a whitewash. Maybe there was new information coming out.
Play the new information clip. It's my favorite.
It is pretty good. It was that there was new investigations coming. Or
I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Something was going to happen, and it was, maybe it's the same old players again, and Muslim Brotherhood connections, who knows what. And then, I know that Greenwald delayed the release of this fireworks because he's sad because he's now apologetic. This is not the Glenn Greenwald who I know.
Greg, he's also, I think, is good in the final throes of selling as many books as he can, and he's done. Because I think he was essentially bought off.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Think it was I don't know how much money it would take to shut a guy up permanently, but I would guess $5 million in his bank account in Brazil is to shut up and get out of town and stay out of town, sign this thing, and if you violate this, we'll shoot you. Kind of thing. And here's $5 million and just go away and stay away. After I got to do my book. I got to sell more books. Okay, we'll let you go through that, but and then you're done. You're done. You're out. I think is a possibility. And this other thing is obviously I think you nailed it. It's covered up for some specific reason. It could, in my opinion, could only be one of two things. One, the White House is knee deep in it. They're all connected to the Muslim Brotherhood as we speak.
I'm pretty sure of that. That's
a possibility. And the other one is there's an ongoing investigation, and they've managed to put a gag on the whole thing. Because this is a bullcrap story. It's fireworks.
Yeah.
No fireworks. The fireworks probably would involve the White House.
Yeah, it doesn't even come close to the White House.
No, and it keeps completely away from the White House as much as possible, which I think, Carr noticed. But I think this is over for him. I think he's really, he's done. He's going to work on some memoirs or something like that.
He was already back in,
he's back in Brazil?
Back in Brazil, yeah. So that's kind of telling right there. Interesting.
You could live a pretty good life in the middle of nowhere, Brazil, if you're with $5 million.
Yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, the Senate committee has adopted just keeping in the snow job stuff, has adopted the cybersecurity bill, which is the witch's bill. What's her name?
Which witch?
Not the Pelosi one, the other one, Feinstein. That's the bill that this is not the Freedom for America something or other act. This is the Here's What a Journalist Is Act.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So the committee has adopted that. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's through or done in any manner, but you know what that means. And the House, and the president actually. Let me see if I have this. I believe. No one talks about this at all. House bill passes bill to boost Department of Homeland Security's use of social media in emergencies. Did you see this?
No.
It's sad. So this is a bill. Let me just see. It's a little congested here. This is a bill that puts together a committee which will include no less than 3 members of the social media industry. Well, let me think. What do we have? Facebook, Twitter, and what should we throw in there just for good measure? Let's throw Google in for it. Why not? Let's throw Google in. But it's no less than. So it could be 30. It could be 30. And they will call it the Social Media Working Group Act of 2014. And it will be a working group. And essentially, this is to determine, review of current and emerging social media technologies being used to support preparedness and response activities related to terrorist attacks, of best practices and lessons learned on the use of social media during the response to terrorist attacks that occurred during the period, et cetera, et cetera. Recommendations to improve DHS's use of social media and to improve information sharing among DHS and its components and state and local governments and the working group, which is those companies you just heard of. A summary of coordination of efforts with the private sector to discuss and resolve legal, operational, technical, privacy, and security concerns. And, of course, this will be, the intent is for the government, Department of Homeland Security, to be able to use social media in the event of a climate change event, an event of a
What?
terrorist. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So in other words, the next hurricane's not going to be a hurricane anymore. It's going to be a climate change event. This is a good one.
And terrorist attack or threat thereof.
That could be a climate change event.
Terrorist or threat or other emergencies. It's just anything. So here's what's going to happen, people. Here's how it's going to go.
Attention, attention. This is Lindsay Lohan's Twitter telling you to cower in place. Cower in place.
Believe me, you're going to be told by Lindsay Lohan and by Justin Bieber's Twitter that there's an emergency. It may be Perez Hilton.
Well,
yeah. This is
pathetic.
You
this
think?
Is pathetic. This is pathetic.
Now, so that's the legislation side. But let's just, since we haven't discussed it, of course, we have to terrorize everybody. Now we have this. You need to turn on your cell phone. Let me ask you. Well, I'll ask you a question after this. Let's play this. This is an ABC package sent to affiliates around the Gitmo Nation about turning on your iPhone before you go through security. Otherwise, you can't get on the plane. And we have Man on the Street, which is my favorite. So, you can guess what people will be saying about this latest measure.
Passengers flying into the U.S. should prepare for longer security lines as agents check electronic devices with batteries. Cell phones, DVD players, laptops, and more must be turned on at the gate, or else you can't board the plane.
It's just part of flying. If you don't want to fly, or if you don't want the inconvenience, don't fly.
I'm a rule follower, so if the rule is that we have to do it, then I'll do it.
I'm a rule follower. Whoa!
I am a rule follower. You tell me what the rules are, and I follow them.
Fly, or if you don't want the inconvenience, don't fly.
I'm a rule follower, so if the rule is that we have to do it, then I'll do it. Don't necessarily like it.
U.S. intelligence has learned bomb makers could be hiding explosives in those devices.
They are small items, but it takes very little explosives to penetrate the hull of an aircraft and cause catastrophic damage.
Catastrophic.
The fighting and instability in Syria and now in Iraq has American officials worried that both countries have become a breeding ground for terrorists, some with passports that could allow for easy travel to the United States.
Through Germany.
I think it's an ever-evolving, ever more sophisticated adversary, so I think the U.S. has to step up its game.
About 250 airports offer nonstop service into the U.S., but TSA is not releasing which of those airports is asking passengers to turn their electronics on.
Okay, a couple questions. One, when is the last time you actually turned your phone off ever? No one, there's not even an on and off, but who turns their phone off? Oh, I'm going, when you go through security, you turn your phone off?
No,
of course not. So who does that? People are, I've got to keep it charged. Please. When's the last time you ran out before you get on the plane? Stop, this is stupid. Two, why don't we arrest every reporter? We're telling the terrorist, don't put your bomb in the iPhone. I mean, does anyone see the...
When's the last time a bomb was in an iPhone? Give some examples of iPhones with bombs or laptops with bombs.
No, don't ask questions. But
I'm a rule follower.
This is so wrong. This is so wrong. Don't people see that this is ridiculous? Do terrorists not know now that and by the way, if you're TSA, I wouldn't want to turn your phone on over there, or I don't want it blowing up in my face.
Yeah, really, it makes no sense.
What is this? How stupid do we have to be? I mean, does any of where's the TSA guy going? Hey, if you do your phone, don't turn it on. No. Hey, man, step back. Don't turn it on. And who has a CD player? Hello.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Who has a CD player?
Who comes on with a CD player nowadays?
And my Walkman. Do I have to show you my cassette tapes? But I have Dolby metallic tapes. Insulting this is. Insulting.
I actually had that same clip. There's a couple of clips I want to get out of the way before we finish here.
Yeah, we're way overdue, Jean-Claude.
Near.
Yeah.
First is the terrorist crackdown in France, which I think is interesting because it reflects what we've been doing all along.
Yeah.
Very good.
Here in France, fears that young men and women may be heading to Iraq and Syria to fight jihad have prompted the government to make changes to the law. Ministers have presented a new bill designed to give the state the ability to block radicals from accessing war zones. Shirley Sitbon explains.
French Islamist radicals back from jihadi war zones have become a major threat. Mohamed Merah killed 3 children, a teacher and 3 soldiers in Toulouse and Montauban in 2012. Last May, Mehdi Nemmouche, back from Syria, shot dead 4 people at the Brussels Jewish Museum. The French government says there are dozens of other potential terrorists like them in the country. Hundreds of French nationals fought in jihadist war zones. With its new bill, the government hopes to stop new candidates from following the same path.
Everywhere in Europe, there are citizens who enroll in overseas jihadist operations. There, they see violence and barbaric brutality. And when they come back, they are a danger to the security of EU countries.
If the bill is adopted, the state would be authorized to ban suspected radicals from traveling, invalidate their passports, ban airlines from flying them abroad. It could also block access to websites that praise jihad. The bill will apply to suspected French radicals, which the government believes could join terror groups abroad.
Excellent. Blocking websites.
I like it.
You know, this is... where is it now? This is maybe I don't have it. This was just in the UK. They have the new emergency powers.
Yeah, they're cracking down everywhere.
On
us, it's with the phones. You got to turn your phone on. And the only other clip I think that story kind of stands alone. The only other clip I thought is I don't think we discussed it. I don't think the Blackwater story. Where play the black funny. I just think there's something very funny about this story.
I wonder if I think we have.
In more of the news that shaped the week, a top U.S. war contractor in Iraq threatened to kill a State Department official.
Yeah, we played a similar clip a couple shows ago.
Okay.
It's all right, we'll finish.
Looking into the wrongdoings at the firm, which used to be called Blackwater. The New York Times has published a report which claims the manager gloated that there was little investigators could do about it because Blackwater was so heavily involved in U.S. work. The document indicates, too, that Blackwater's top manager, in a low, even tone of voice, told one of the government's agents that he could kill him without blinking an eye.
Yeah.
State Department investigators who were in Iraq, therefore, had to curb any further investigation. They described staff, though, at the notorious security firm as out of control and that it was operating above the law. But the American embassy sided with Blackwater.
Let me, yeah, of course. Let me add to that. The president just signed into law Senate Bill 1681, which is the short title of this act is the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2014. And it's essentially the money for the following intelligence organizations, which some I'm sure flows through to these guys. Just listen to the intelligence and intelligence-related activities in the United States government that we have. Can you name 16 of them?
I can name about 5.
Okay, so we have Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Central Intelligence Agency, the Department of Defense, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the National Security Agency, the Department of the Army, the Department of the Navy, and the Department of the Air Force, the Coast Guard, Department of State, Department of the Treasury, Department of Energy, Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Drug Enforcement Administration, National Reconnaissance Office, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and the Department of Homeland Security. And of course, there's a classified schedule of authorizations that goes along with Bill S-1681, which you don't get to see because that's the real information. And, you know, it's like the NSA is like $500 million here, $500 million there. But this is what's interesting. Consistently throughout this bill, I'll give you an example, Section 604, policies and procedures, non-applicability to certain terminations. So a lot of this is about whistleblower stuff and about responsibility of these agencies. So, for instance, here, covered intelligence community element defined in this section is the Central Intelligence Agency, Intelligence, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and everywhere throughout this document, it says, does not include Federal Bureau of Investigation. And whistleblowers, if you're at the FBI, you're not included. It's really weird. I've marked it up so maybe someone can give us some information. But everywhere in this document, the FBI is specifically excluded from any kinds of limitations on authority or things they can do. It's
so
very
excluded from the limitation clauses.
Yes.
You can't do this, you can't do that, except the FBI.
Yeah.
Can't do this, you can't do that, except the FBI.
Yes, does not include
Nice.
the federal. Yeah. It's very, very weird.
You can't gun run, except the FBI.
Except the FBI. Yeah, I'm telling you. It's really, really weird.
Huh. Well, good for them.
All right.
We need a secret police.
I just have one thing I want to wind up with because I've been saying it for years, ever since we started this show. Pretty much from day one, I was living in London, and I think I told you many times the pedophile network in the UK, in the Netherlands, in Belgium, and yes, I'll take it all the way to George Bush's White House for sure, with Senior. And remember the documentary, what was it called? The Boys Town? Is it called Boys Town?
Lost Boys or Boys Town, whatever.
Boys Town, yeah, which is still around, which never aired.
Watch it.
Which, the connection between the Bush White House and abuse of children. And I've always said, in the UK, it is the powerful elite, it is the politicians, it is the entertainment industry, and it is the royals. And this Elms House thing, which had been consistently covered up, is now blowing up in the UK. And of course, we have like a new committee will be brought together, and
nothing will happen.
Nothing will happen. But
the closest thing to anything happening, I think, is even just as abhorrent or more are these apparently these women's shelters, as it were, for the pregnant women in the early part of the last century, where they would bring any pregnant woman in Ireland, and they'd put her in the house, and then they'd send her off and kill her baby. They're finding all these mass graves.
No, yeah.
It's horrible.
Well, let me just play this one clip, because there's a couple, but only play one. There's some funny stuff where Cameron's saying, I'll give them power to investigate us. Right. So here's Peter McKelvey, who in 2012, and by the way, the documents have mysteriously been destroyed of the initial investigation. Yeah, no idea how it happened. But here he is. He was the original exposer of this pedo bear phenomenon in the UK and was ignored. And now he's back in the limelight. Soon to be dead, I'm sure.
I believe that there is strong evidence and an awful lot of information that can be converted into evidence if it's investigated properly, that there's been an extremely powerful elite amongst the highest levels of the political classes for as long as I've been alive, and I'm 65 now. And there's been sufficient reason to investigate it over and over again, certainly for the last 30 years. And there's always been the block and the cover-up and the collusion to prevent that happening. For the first time, I've got a belief that survivors will come forward and justice will be served for a lot of survivors. But unfortunately, it's been left so late that a lot of the abusers are now dead. But we're looking at the Lords, we're looking at the Commons, we're looking at the judiciary, we're looking at all institutions where there'll be a small percentage of paedophiles and a slightly larger percentage of people who've known about it but have felt that in terms of their own self-interests and self-preservation and for political party reasons, it's been safer for them to cover it up rather than deal with it. Over many, many years, I've spoken to a considerable number of victims, and most recently, victims of perhaps the most powerful elite group of paedophiles, and I certainly believe that what they're saying needs to be looked at in great detail. The problem is that they don't have the faith in the system. They don't have the faith that people will believe them, because the worst part of sexual abuse is the power that powerful people have over them, and they don't believe that that power can ever be broken, and that they don't believe that the power can come back to them.
Help me understand what they say about what was done to them.
It's boring. Better stuff. The guy's killing kids on the boat. This is, of course, all you have to do is you kill one of these witnesses, and you use him as an example to everybody else. And of course, you didn't kill him. He committed suicide.
Yes.
And then you say, "Are you going to be a whistleblower? You're going to talk about this? Really? Look what happened to Bill over here.
So
and look what happened to Jim. Look what happened to Freddie."
They appointed Baroness Butler Sloss to head the sex abuse inquiry.
Wheel spinning of the highest order.
And then turns out her brother was apparently one of the abusers. Yeah, of course, it's wheel spinning. Of course it is. But it doesn't mean that I just want to gloat for a moment to say that told you so.
Yeah, but you've been saying this since the beginning of the show. You told us so, but there's nothing. What's come of it?
Well, we'll see. We'll have more dead people who will be. He did it, but he's dead. This is the good thing.
He did it. He's dead.
He did it. He's dead. Yeah.
Yeah. He did it. He's dead. That's one of the things. He did it. He's dead. And the other ones. They
need to. All I'm waiting. They just need to get one royal. One royal. That will be funny because then all the royal families will start blaming each other across the whole European continent.
That's never going to happen.
You don't know?
They wind up dead. Princess Diana was a royal and she wound up dead.
Yeah.
Because he dated the wrong guy or who knows why.
No. All right. Well, I'm sorry you don't like these stories, but I can't help but bring it up. I got I have clips and stuff, and it's all in the show notes.
They're all dead ends.
633.noagendanotes.com.
And I don't mean that as a pun.
No, I know you don't. Okay, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to save for Sunday's show. A lot of medical-related news, which is kind of interesting, involving the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Oh, good.
The Haiti, new virus in Haiti. Oh, good, as you're supposed to say. Oh, good.
New virus in Haiti.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they can to kill off that public.
It's going very well. And this is something. Are you doing a? No, you won't do that before Sunday. A Dvorak Horowitz. I heard, but I'm trying to get it confirmed that Spain has issued a retroactive 0.03% tax on bank deposits. Have you heard of this?
No, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, I can't get it confirmed. I didn't have time.
Garcia would know.
Which, of course, so it goes back to January. What I'm hearing is that going back to January 1st of this year, there's a 0.03% tax on all bank deposits, which, of course, is stealing your money if it's really true.
Well, yeah, it's stealing your money, but if you're in depends on, there's an economic rationale for doing that, but it's another story. All right.
Well, I look forward to discussing that and the report, which is several hundred pages, which I've started. You can already start looking at the DDPP interim report, which I have in the show notes.
I don't even know what you're talking. What is DDPPP?
I'm glad you asked.
No, you're not.
Pathways to deep decarbonization.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Where did this come out of?
Well, there's a new conference going on right now, a new a climate change conference. And this is from the Institute for Sustainable Development and International Relations. And they have come out with the deep decarbonization methodology, which we have to follow in order to not die from climate change. And this will be your meme. Deep decarbonization, which has gone from carbon dioxide, which you exhale, to carbon pollution. And if you're going to decarbonize, isn't the easiest, quickest way to decarbonize is to just kill human beings?
That would get rid of the problem.
Right.
Kill all humans.
I think this
problem solved.
This is the problem. So 218 pages, which I'm starting to read through. This
was released by who?
Well, it's the DDPP. It's the German Development Institute, International Energy Agency, International Institute for Applied Systems Analysis, the World Business Council on Sustainable Development, and investments from the Children's Investment Fund Foundation, Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit,
Soros.
The German Environment Ministry, the Gross Family Foundation, the European Climate Foundation. Everybody who's making bank but us.
Obfuscation of who's behind it, but okay. All right, I'll let you have that one.
Oh yeah.
I want to learn something.
Well, We start with people over 60. Coming to you from the FEMA region, which is in the numeral 6 here in Austin, Texas. Capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Sunday. Thursday. Sunday.
Sunday.
Brand new episode of Your No Agenda.
Sunday.
Thank you very much for listening.
Bingo, boom, boom, chaka-laka-laka, boom, boom, boom.
I didn't actually interact directly with people in the IT arena. Somebody whose name was...
Gibson's nuts.
I can't even remember his last name. I think his first name may have been Ben.
All right. Doing the twit.
Dude named Ben. 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 Dude named Ben.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA